right, guys, hello and welcome to Truth and Transparency Sunday night. Again, sorry for the delay. It's actually a good reason for the delay, though. I got to talk to Davon for, instead of just 3 12 to 15 minute calls. We got a lot of work in today, so it ended up being like a lot longer than that, so that's pretty special. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. Hello to all the new subscribers, the new members, all the OGs, the original gangsters. A special shout out to the mods. Thank you guys so much. And again, welcome to Truth and Transparency, YouTube channel affiliated with Fight for a Family, a nonprofit. You guys can visit Fight for a Family, www.fightforafamily.com. Special shout outs to those Nancy S., Midge, Derek, Farmer, Morgan. Over the weekend, they bought other subscribers' memberships, which is really cool. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. Way to give back to the community of Truth and Transparency's little YouTube true crime community. Thank you. Mama Fee, special shout out. She's always dropping lines, getting people to thumbs up videos. Mod Squad, Maple Beeve, Boston, VA, Bumblebee, Bella. You guys are loved. Here we go. Tell me what you think. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. A Home Team Productions. Consider being a member of Fight for a Family at www.fightforafamily.com. Monthly membership donations as well as one-time donations. I am your executive producer, Lana Oriani. The answers aren't always black and white. Yeah, I said it.
Definitely an ambush, and like I said, there's a lot of rumors, but it's all going to come out.
A local school teacher killed in her mother's driveway. Tonight, we're learning more about a second search warrant in the Rachel DelTondo murder investigation.
I work exclusively with Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s family and have since March of 2021. Sheldon Jeter Jr., a person of interest in the Rachel DelTondo 2018 homicide. There have been no arrests made in the Rachel DelTondo case to date.
A local teacher was shot and killed over the weekend in Aliquippa. No one has been arrested yet in what police are now calling a crime of passion.
Beaver County District Attorney Lozier is the person who said, quote unquote, that this crime was a crime of passion in 2018, right away. However, new information obtained by Fight for a Family president, myself, Lana Oriani, in June of 2021 from a family source of the DelTondos puts Beaver County's district attorney's narrative of crime of passion inconsistent with the entry wounds on the body of Rachel DelTondo.
Investigators believe the victim knew her attacker, and this was not a random act. Investigative reporter Andy Sheen is live in Aliquippa with more. Andy.
Susan, police investigators won't say if they have a suspect, but they do believe that Rachel DelTondo knew her assailant and that this brutal murder was a crime of passion.
Rachel DelTondo was shot 9 times in the back at the bottom of her parents' driveway, where she resided with them. According to the family source, quote unquote, she was sprayed 9 times in the back. Since 2018, Aliquippa Police Department and law enforcement in Beaver County have tried to pin this murder on Sheldon Jeter Jr., the black male who was in Rachel DelTondo's car in 2016 that led to a leaked incident report in 2017, only 6 months before she was murdered. This is what mainstream media was telling the world just hours after the murder.
A death scene. That's where Rachel DelTondo was found bleeding Sunday night after reportedly going out for ice cream with a friend. And that's where Rachel DelTondo was pronounced dead of multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. Police have taken a cell phone and will try to figure out
Shot in the chest, wounds to the chest. Beaver County District Attorney never corrected this misinformation. In fact, he doubled down on the narrative and used local bloggers and media to continue that narrative. It would be in June of 2021 that I would get that information that Rachel was actually not shot in the chest, she was shot in the back. All entry points were in the back. So the narrative that she would have seen her assailant, the perpetrator, that's purely speculation, as Rachel DelTondo was shot 9 times in the back and was at the bottom of her parents' driveway on Mother's Day evening. 10:45 p.m. Mainstream media is pushing a narrative based on incorrect information that was given to the press from the district attorney. Why? Why has this not been corrected? A crime of passion would not be 9 shots sprayed in the back. In fact, Rachel DelTondo was found in the exact same spot where she was dropped off that night after coming back from getting ice cream at the bottom of the driveway. May 2019, a year after Rachel's murder, the friend that dropped Rachel off at home that night after getting ice cream speaks publicly for the first time to Aaron Moriarty.
I don't get any of it.
Tell me what happens after that.
So I drop him off.
When I began investigating this case, I didn't realize how important these words are that Lauren Watkins says to Aaron Moriarty at the time. Lauren dropped off Rachel DelTondo the night she was murdered at 10:44 p.m. at the bottom of Rachel's driveway, the same spot where Rachel's body would be found by the authorities and the 911 caller.
I've heard that Rachel always insisted that anybody who drops her off waits to see her go in. Was that true? Was that?
It was.
But you never actually saw her go in, is that correct?
Correct.
What did you exactly see?
Just her get to the door and go for the screen.
Then what did you do?
I drove off, went to take Tyree home.
So the last person to see Rachel DelTondo alive was Lauren Watkins. She says, I normally wait and watch her go in. That night, I just watched her walk up to the side door. But Lauren Watkins wasn't the only one in that vehicle that night. Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s half-brother, Tyree Jeter, was also in that vehicle and went to Hank's to get ice cream with them. He was also in that car when they dropped off Rachel DelTondo. He, to this day, has never spoke out publicly. Joe and Lisa DelTondo, the parents of Rachel DelTondo, are owed the truth, and Rachel DelTondo deserves justice. While investigating the case of Rachel DelTondo, I was determined to put together one of the most in-depth timelines that the case has ever seen, and not just the quote-unquote white man's version. While focusing in on the Rachel DelTondo case, another year would pass. It would be almost 2 years to the second anniversary of Rachel's murder that a 911 call would be placed on May 15th, 2020, that would change Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s life forever.
Where's your emergency? It is in Aliquippa. I wish I knew the name of this road, but when you get off 51, you go down Franklin, you make your first left and go right up the hill. Right up the hill. If you went down 50... Immediate left off of Franklin Avenue once you came off 51. That is correct. Okay, and what's going on there? It looks like a man got hit by a car. He's not in good shape. I don't even know if he's alive. Okay, you're right there in that North Bend? Yes. Yes.
May 16th, 2020, the following day after that 911 call, this was the evening news.
In Aliquippa, Sheldon Jeter Jr. is charged with homicide. That name may be familiar. Jeter was questioned in the Rachel DelTondo case a couple of years ago. However, police say these two cases are not connected. Amy Wattis has more on what she's learned.
There's still no motive in this case, and Tyreek Pugh's friends are wondering why he was gunned down. They say he's the type of friend that would be there for you if you were feeling down, and his laugh would fill up the room.
Happy birthday to you.
This is video of Tyreek Pugh celebrating his 30th birthday last October. A friend at the party sent it to KDKA, and it was the last birthday he'd ever celebrate after state police say he was shot to death late Friday night in Aliquippa. His body was found in the middle of Keel Street.
Like, he is not somebody that I would have expected that to happen to at all. And so it was very sad, heartbreaking.
22-year-old Sheldon Jeter Jr. is now charged with criminal homicide. Police say Jeter knew Pugh well.
He was with him earlier in the day. Whenever we interviewed him, he said that he was not with him at the time of the shooting. So the information that we received, we specifically went off of a lot of the footage.
Police say that surveillance video shows Jeter getting ice cream with Pugh and two other friends. It also shows Jeter's vehicle in two different places, leaving Keel Street soon after Pugh was shot and later at the home the two shared nearby.
At the scene, we located shells to a .380 handgun. With the warrant that we received, we searched Jeter's apartment and we found exactly that, a handgun, a .380 handgun.
Jeter's name is not unfamiliar with police. He was linked to Rachel DelTondo and said to be friends. He was questioned in her case but was never charged. Sources tell KDKA Friday's case is unrelated to the DelTondo case.
We sympathize with the family and the community. It has been 2 years. It's been an agonizing 2 years. And we understand what this has done to the family and the community and the police department.
Find out what I've done and been able to uncover and see where these cases stand today by checking out Sunset Secrets playlist, as well as staying tuned right here this evening, where I plan on showing some of my work with the nonprofit organization that I started up in March of 2021, Fight for a Family. Consider being a member of this YouTube channel, Truth and Transparency, or becoming a member of Fight for a Family by visiting www.fight4afamily.com.
Thomas, badge number 10847. Today's date's May 16th, 2020. Time is 01:14 hours, 1:14 a.m. I'm here with Trooper McGeary.
Badge number 1287.
So tonight, or I know it's tomorrow technically, but last night, were you at home?
Yes.
Okay. So kind of walk me through what happens.
Okay. Now, my son and I just got back from Sharon, PA.
Okay.
About 11:30. And my wife had eaten dinner, gotten her shower, and was going to bed.
Okay.
My son and I...
They're coming from, or...
Well, we knew it was coming from this direction, but to me it sounded pretty muffled. Okay, I've been in the military, and I fired a lot of guns.
Right.
I don't know if somebody used a suppressor, and I do know that there is somebody in the neighborhood that does have one.
Who's that?
Well, I don't want to give the name. I don't want to end up like that guy.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean,
I will say he lives up here on Shaw Street, and okay, I'll give you his first name. That's all I know, and his name is Mike. I even have a picture of the weapon that.
Is Mike a white or black guy?
He's a black guy. I was drinking vodka with him. He showed me this gun.
You weren't drinking vodka with him tonight, were you?
No, no.
Welcome to Sunset Secrets. Michael D. Miller of the PSP. You guys can follow along with the Sheldon Jeter Jr. road back into the courtroom. Sunset Secrets against all odds in Aliquippa. Advocating in Aliquippa. That is on this channel. Today I told you guys that I would be showing you some of the evidence that Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s attorneys, due to ineffective leadership, did not review and dig through that discovery when they had the opportunity in 2020, beginning in May when he was arrested, and then all the way until June when his trial kicked off in 2021. I began helping the family just a couple short months before he actually started trial. Something that was never vetted and looked into was the 911 caller. The 911 caller that you guys heard in that intro, in that preview, in that intro, that 911 call, he states that he is standing over the body. He states that he thinks that this guy was hit by a car. Tyreek Pugh suffered 6 gunshot wounds to the head. When you're standing over a body that features 6 gunshot wounds to the head, you're not thinking that somebody got hit by a car. This should have been easy for the defense to find his defense. The 911 caller, his trace should have been right there in Aliquippa. His phone traced over 6 miles away, a 10 to 12 minute drive in Baden, Pennsylvania. Again, I uncovered this past spring, 2022, because I went back to the beginning. I went back to the drawing board with Sheldon's case as far as it pertained to the Tyreek Pugh case. Mainstream media, as well as law enforcement, wants us to believe that Tyreek Pugh case has nothing to do with the Rachel DelTondo case. That couldn't be further from the truth. The police were able to beeline it within a couple hours based on Tyreek Pugh's identification card. his ID, his driver's license that was in his wallet, had the address, Orchard Street, the same address as Sheldon Jeter Jr. Not because he lived there. Tyreek Pugh had not lived there in years. He would come and go whenever he wanted to because of the relationship that Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s grandfather and uncle and family had with Tyreek Pugh. They helped raise Tyreek Pugh through the church. So on that fateful night, on May 15th, 2020, your 911 caller calls in at 11:39 and 40 seconds. Says that he's standing over a body. But the trace is over 6 miles, 10 to 12 minute drive at least, in Baden, Pennsylvania, not in Aliquippa. Never mentioned in court, never brought up. Then, law enforcement says that while they were on scene, that they went down to the local deli corner store named Two Cousins. And they did this while they were at the crime scene. So they had it roped off from 11:45 until 3:32 in the morning. However, there is not one single report that says that any police officer went down during COVID into a store that was already closed by midnight. They said that they went there, 2 officers went there at 1:30 in the morning, and they were able to obtain camera footage from a store that's closed and gated up during COVID. This report was never typed up. There was no evidence of anybody gathering any digitals from Two Cousins' camera or their store. They said that they reviewed the footage and that they were able to tell that from this footage, around the time that the 911 call came in, they noticed a black SUV. Again, they never cited who they spoke to when they went to Two Cousins to actually be able to get in. Two Cousins closes at midnight. They said they went there at 1:30. There is no footage of them entering Two Cousins' convenience store, these police officers. Two Cousins had anywhere between 16 and 23 cameras. But this footage did have a black SUV around that time. However, it was not seen that night, even though they made it seem like they saw it that night when they were then at Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s house where he lived with his grandfather, because when the coroner was there and they were processing the scene, they get the wallet out, they see that address of Orchard Street, they beeline it right there. Now they are at Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s house, and they say, oh, look at that SUV. That looks like the one that we just saw on the footage that they never saw. There was no footage collected from Two Cousins on May 16th at 1:30 or 2:30 or anything like that in the morning. There are no CAD reports that send anybody there. There are no CAD reports of being dispatched there. Nada. And in fact, the 2 officers that said that they were the ones to go to Two Cousins, the crime scene log has both of them inside the tape and until 3:32 a.m. This can all be seen in a breakdown of Sunset Secrets Season 3, Episodes 1, 2, and 3 is being re-uploaded. What I thought would just be me helping Sheldon Jeter Jr. in Aliquippa and helping the DelTondo family truly get to the bottom of who murdered their daughter. Joe and Lisa DelTondo are fabulous human beings. I can't imagine what it's been like to be them and to go through life since that horrible day. But I can tell you what Rachel would not want. Rachel would not want the wrong person going to prison for something that they did not do. The district attorney, mainstream media, and local media in the Pittsburgh and Beaver area are still pushing the narrative that Rachel DelTondo was shot and she saw her perpetrator. And that cannot be further from the truth. This crime of passion that Rachel DelTondo suffered that night at the hands of a perpetrator due to crime of passion, it is statistically inconsistent with the way Rachel DelTondo was murdered. Rachel DelTondo was murdered at the bottom of her parents' driveway. 9 shots sprayed in the back. She was in the same area where she was found, was right where she was dropped off that night. It is my opinion, and my opinion only, based off of the hours and days and discovery and information that I have, and the own words of witnesses that have come out and talked about the Rachel DelTondo case, that Rachel DelTondo never made it up to that side of her house to enter any home that night. Rachel DelTondo, by digital evidence, was dropped off at 10:44 p.m. A neighbor texts her wife and at 10:45 says that she heard gunshots. The 911 caller in the Rachel DelTondo homicide, 10:48 p.m. Prior to any of that happening, Rachel was out to get ice cream with Lauren Watkins and Tyree Jeter. They left Rachel DelTondo's house around 9:30 p.m. There's also rumors that they had left a little bit earlier than that. They had then went to pick up Tyree Jeter by Main Street, went to Hanks, and then came back. Hanks is a good drive. Hanks is a 15 to 20 minute drive one way. Hanks closes at 10. There has never been footage to surface from Hanks ice cream. Hanks has cameras, more than one, and no footage to this day has ever surfaced, and no one has ever spoke about if there is footage from Hanks. When Rachel DelTondo got home that night, prior to getting home, they're all in a vehicle, and Rachel and Lauren begin to text each other. And if you listen to the account of those transactions, based on what Lauren is saying, that she did not want Tyree Jeter to know that they were going to continue to hang out that night. So she was dropping Rachel off first, then she was going to drop Tyree off. Hey, we just didn't really want him to know, and that we didn't want him to feel left out, that we're going to still hang out that night. So, I said, go for a walk or do whatever, and I'll be back. I'm going to go drop him off, and we're not going to tell him, basically, that I'm coming back here to continue hanging out because we don't want to make him feel like he's left out of hanging out. That could not be more ridiculous of a story. For the mere fact of go drop Tyree off first if you're going back to hang out then with Rachel at her home or whatever you were planning on going to do. You would drop off Tyree first and then go to Rachel's. You could still tell him that you're not hanging out because, oh, I'll drop you off. I'm going to drop off Rachel and then I'm going to go home. To drop off Rachel, write her something weird to go for a walk or whatever, then drive to go take Tyree Jeter home, and then play it. She is then texting with Rachel, not realizing that she said that Rachel was dead. Hey, I'm about to leave. And then another one 5 minutes later, hey, I'm on my way. Things like that. Well, it wouldn't be until I was able to uncover the statements made by Tyree Jeter that late night, early morning, where Tyree Jeter is not supposed to know that Lauren Watkins and Rachel DelTondo were hanging out that night. But in his statement to police, he says, Lauren dropped me off and then she was going back to hang out with Rachel. Those are his words in his police statement. The night of the homicide or early morning, how would Tyree Jeter know that Lauren was going back to Rachel DelTondo's if, and in fact, Lauren's telling everybody that we didn't tell Ty that. I made it seem like, I'm dropping off Rachel, then I'm dropping off Tyree, and then I'm going home. We don't want him to feel left out. But that's what she's excusing for the text messaging and weird, and I'll go for a walk, I'll just be right back. And now think about this. Corruption in Beaver County. Corruption in Aliquippa. Aliquippa is in Beaver County. Rachel DelTondo told a local reporter that she feared for her life, that she was being followed by the police, and that she was getting death threats. And then in 6 months from those words of hers, she was murdered. She gets dropped off at 10:44. The last two people to see Rachel DelTondo alive, Tyree Jeter and Lauren Watkins, the daughter of a police sergeant. Ken Watkins, one of the officers that found Sheldon Jeter Jr. in the vehicle with Rachel DelTondo back in 2016. When a report was never written. And then in 2017, it was leaked by none other than Joe Percival, the assistant police chief, handing it to Frank Catropa, Rachel DelTondo's ex-fiance, who then he is able to pass it around and get that out to the media, resulting in Rachel being put on suspension from her job as a teacher and all of her private personal information out to the world. Since day one, they have tried to pin Rachel DelTondo's death and murder on Sheldon Jeter Jr. The murder happened in 2018. To this day, nobody's been arrested. However, within 2 years, in 2020, since you can't get Sheldon for Rachel's murder, we got to make him look like a murderer. A 911 call would come in. A 911 caller saying that they stood over a body, but when it was traced back by police, it was not traced back to that location. Never brought up in the courtroom. How could this be missed by Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s defense? How does a 911 caller say that it looks like he got hit by a car? He has 6 gunshot wounds to the head. Why do you have to cover up a narrative? Why can't it just be what it is? Rachel DelTondo was shot in the back. Because it would look like a hit. Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s attorney, Santacola, came out publicly and said that Lauren Watkins' statements make no sense, and that what it looks like to us is that Rachel DelTondo was the victim of a hit. Again, Rachel was sprayed 9 times in the back at 10:45 p.m. At 10:44 p.m., she was standing at the bottom of her driveway, being let out of a vehicle, Lauren and Tyree. Lauren claimed on national television that she witnessed and watched Rachel walk up to the side door. But yet her body was found at the bottom of the driveway, right where she was dropped off. Sprayed 9 times. Then the inconsistency with Lauren telling everybody that Tyree had no idea that she was going back to Rachel's, because that was the whole point of all their text messaging in a vehicle, to tell Rachel to go for a walk. I'll be right back, go for a walk. The same night that she's murdered, right there on her driveway, right after Lauren Watkins texts her to say, I don't know, go for a walk or something. What would Sheldon Jeter Jr. have a motive to kill Rachel DelTondo? However, 6 months prior to all of this, a leaked incident report costing Rachel DelTondo to be suspended from her job at the hands of the police and her ex-fiance, Frank Atropa, putting that out to the media, and a police officer handing that report without any type of paperwork filled out by Frank Atropa. And that was by Joe Percival handing that to Frank Atropa. Again, 6 months prior to her murder. Then all of a sudden, Rachel becomes a confidential source for the media, as well as allegedly was going to be testifying in front of a grand jury. She never once said that she was in fear for her life because of Sheldon Jeter Jr. And in fact, she said it was because of the police, the Idaho Police Department, and that she thought her fiance would kill her, or ex-fiance. That night, the night of Rachel's murder, Frank Atropa was blowing up his then current girlfriend cell phone to the point of making sure that she was coming over that night, obsessing about that, leaving voicemails, calling. Frank Atropa was with his girlfriend. He did not pull the trigger. But he was doing everything in his power to make sure that somebody was with him that night. 2 years would go by, and then the Tyreek Pugh murder, homicide would happen. And within hours, they were arresting Sheldon Jeter Jr. with no investigation. I've worked on this case top to bottom, destroyed the discovery top to bottom. And the evidence that I am able to turn over to the family can and will exonerate Sheldon Jeter Jr. I tried to be able to get that discovery before his actual court trial in June of 2021. His lawyers, even after Sheldon Jeter Jr. said that he wanted me to see that, to go through that, it was denied. Well, now I know why. The way that Sheldon Jeter Jr. was defended in that courtroom for the murder of Tyreek Pugh was treated as an isolated incident. Meanwhile, they kept that trial in Beaver County, where Sheldon Jeter Jr. was the subject of over 100 articles written by the local bloggers, the media, and not to mention national news pertaining to Rachel DelTondo. If that wasn't enough, one of the juror members was the neighbor of Rachel DelTondo, lived next door to Rachel. Her and her husband lived with her parents when Rachel was murdered. I was able to bring this news of the juror to the attention for the mere fact that I happen to be heading on over to see none other than Lisa and Joe DelTondo. This is the juror member that during the appeals that Sheldon is in right now, there are affidavits in the Superior Court is looking at to give Sheldon Jeter Jr. an evidentiary hearing to be able to be granted a new trial. And a lot of this surrounds misconduct that happened in that courtroom pertaining to juror members, courtroom staff. I can't say I've sat into and watched murder trials in public every other day or anything like that, but I think I've seen enough on television, and what I witnessed for being in that courtroom with Sheldon's mom and family, and what I witnessed in that courtroom, couldn't believe it. You had juror members talking to each other, laughing. You had sidebars that were happening outside of the courtroom. You had the bailiff sleeping. It was a straight up embarrassment. And now I know why Pennsylvania does not allow cameras in their courtroom. I've had the amazing pleasure to develop a relationship with amazing families from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, because during the time that I've been there, it is not just Sheldon Jeter Jr. that has been set up and railroaded. Jamie Brown in the Officer 9 case, Davon Cox, 2005, The stuff that is going on in Beaver County is not okay. And it is at the hands of corruption and literally burying years, decades the judge in Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s case in Beaver County, Kim Tesla, he was the prosecutor in the Jamie Brown case. Him and Linda Barr were the special prosecutors in the 2001 cop killing case. I've had the pleasure to work with that family, the Brown family, and uncover 5 witnesses that falsified paperwork and made up a whole story about a car getting towed and a car having their keys locked in it, and talking to Officer Nime prior to him dying. Making up where people lived. Jamie Brown is innocent, factually. He did not kill Officer Nime, and in fact, Officer Nime was gunned down and ambushed by his own. Law enforcement, Aliquippa Police Department, there was Aliquippa Police Department off-duty cops that made it on scene from Squickly to Aliquippa before on-duty police officers made it there. You have Officer Nime's swipe badge that was never checked, and in fact was swiped after death to alter the time of death of Officer Nime.
Still here we are, both of us lonely, longing for shelter from all that we see. Why should we worry? No one will care, girl. Look at the stars, so far away. We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, babe. Why don't you stay? deep in my soul. I've been so lonely. All of my hopes fading away. I've longed for love like everyone else can. I've seen it all and hear it all. What do you say? We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, baby. Why don't you stay?
The Gregory Johnson Jr. story. Gregory Johnson Jr. was the only black member who was living in the house of his fraternity, Sigma Chi, a fraternity with a racist history, in 2008. On November 22nd, 2008, he was found hanged and dead in their basement. San Jose State University Police Department reported the death as a suicide and said his death was caused by a ligature hanging. Gregory has a crack on the back of his head that indicated he had suffered from blunt force trauma. I will be showing a picture of that for a trigger warning. When I do pull it up, I will remind you guys again. Which was leaking brain matter that his parents saw when they were able to finally see his body. Pictures of his body taken by his parents do not show scars on his neck that support death by ligature hanging. In fact, there are no marks on his neck. Again, trigger warning, there will be pictures. Despite the autopsy report reporting marks on his neck, he had evidence on his body, including a broken neck, that showed proof of being beaten. Gregory had no indications of being suicidal, had no history of any mental illness, and left no suicide note. Gregory stood at least 6 feet 2 inches tall, whereas the pipe was only 5 feet 10 inches above the ground. San Jose State University, UPD, and Sigma Chi still rule his death a suicide today and have insisted that his parents not pursue the case any longer because of the statute of limitations set on suicide cases. Police reports were inconsistent, and police did not pursue the case even though there was a flurry of many details that were inconsistent and suspicious. Conveniently, no Sigma Chi members had seen Gregory hang himself, and none of them saw anything except for the member who allegedly found his body hanging in the basement. Gregory's parents were denied seeing their son's body for 13 days because fraternity members had identified his body. When his parents arrived at the frat house, the fraternity had already taken the crime scene tape down and cleaned the basement and disinfected it using pine salt, as allowed by police. Gregory's belongings had been tampered with, and pictures from his phone had been deleted. The FBI eventually took over the case, investigating it as a hate crime, and it stopped in Washington, D.C., at the desk of then Attorney General Eric Holder, with no explanation as to why it was dropped. His family and the public have never had access to the full police report, nor the FBI investigation report. No arrests have been made. And it is widely suspected that San Jose State University and UPD worked together to cover up his murder in order to avoid a bad reputation for the school, which has also had a history of racism within the school. Examples were given that the Sigma Chi in Trump memorabilia, spring 2019, a swastika in the Joe West dorm hall, anti-immigration flyers posted around the campus in the 2019-2020 school year. Sigma Chi was also suspended in the mid-1960s for discrimination, and clearly they are still racist, making Johnson's death as the only black member of the fraternity living in the house at the time even more suspicious. Sigma Chi is an old, established fraternity throughout the college system in the United States, with many members being from rich, powerful, and influential families. The people demand that the statute of limitations is put aside and that this case is reopened in order to serve justice for Gregory Johnson and to finally punish his murderers, the members of Sigma Chi, during the time of his death. Gregory Johnson's parents have waited 12 years for justice and closure. Now it would be 14. And we, the people, demand that they do not have to wait any longer. Again, this is going to be a trigger warning due to the material that will come up on screen. This is going to be showing some pictures. And again, this is an educational live to talk about Sigma Chi and the reputation, and then just how powerful fraternities and sororities are, mainly fraternities, within a university. Okay, here we go. These are photos by Denise, the mother of Gregory. Again, these are all photos included in this. And these slides are from Denise Johnson's photo scans of Gregory's body. What are these photos? Gregory Johnson Jr.'s parents were denied clearance to see their son's body in person until 13 days after his death. Instead, they were shown a black and white photocopied photo of his body because his body had already been identified to the coroner's office by members of San Jose State University's Sigma Chi fraternity and by Gregory's driver's license. The autopsy report by the Santa Clara County Medical Examiner coroner lists Gregory's cause of death as hanging, reporting 2 ligature marks around his neck. Denise Johnson, Gregory's mother, says she did not see any marks on his neck in the photograph she was shown, and later went on to take photos of her son's body to support her claims. In addition to these allegations, Denise also found a crack in the back of Gregory's skull that was still leaking brain matter when she saw him, and that his neck was broken all the way through because his head would fall back if the block propping up his head was removed. Still, she could not find any markings consistent with ligature hanging on his neck. Another issue with this ruled cause of death was that Gregory's height was 6'4", and the pipe the members allegedly found him hanging from was only about 5'10" off the ground. Gregory was too tall, is what Denise was saying, to hang himself from that pipe. Furthermore, the stories from Gregory's fraternity brothers were inconsistent and kept changing. One alleged that he found Gregory hanging from the pipe on his knees with his knees bent. And then another claimed that Gregory was found in a seated position with his legs out in front of him. All things considered, it would have been impossible for Gregory to have hung himself if a structure shorter than himself, according to Denise. That was her theory. Again, this is your content warning. These photos were taken at the funeral home by Denise after their family was able to raise enough money to bring him back to their hometown. Gregory's parents were urged to have him cremated by the coroner's office without having a chance to view his body in person. However, fueled by their suspicions of foul play, they refused and brought his body home for a funeral. Note that these photos... Here we go. So again, this on the left, bottom left, I could probably get those bigger. That's the block she's referring to up in the top left that they had to use to keep his head up. And I think that if you take a screenshot of this, or if you actually go on the website, you can zoom in and you'll be able to see that this big split in the back of his head here on the left, it is brain matter, and I don't know where anybody could possibly say that blow, that type of a blow to someone's head would not be the reason of death. I mean, it's so sad. That is correct, Mod Squad. He could have died from basically, asphyxiation. I couldn't see it. Oh, who is that? Crisis Cast. Do you know how to get dash and body cam footage? Can I pay you to get footage for me? Yes, I know how to do that. I don't know what's it for. I can definitely help somebody out. Do they need help? Yes, I can definitely help you. Crisis, what was it? If you could email me, if you guys could just give her my email, I can definitely help. If you want to take the time, you can go and visit the site where Gregory Johnson's family, has been begging for someone to look at his case, somebody to do the right thing and to step up. But I don't even think that if you were to try to get somebody down from a hanging position, that their head would go and hit the ground. And then, I'm trying to say, could that have happened after? It's just,
no, you could tell from the blood pattern.
Yeah, it's crazy that they weren't the ones to be able to identify. I also look at the neck, and I just don't see. I get it was 13 days later, but you would still see the bruising, you would still see everything, and none of that's there.
Ligature facial marks are completely different than like the mark that he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was basically trying to show in that one picture that, you know, okay, so, yes, so obviously, you know, if somebody is, you could sit in a chair and have a belt wrapped around you and choke you out and die from that. But I do believe that there would be the markings from that belt. And I don't see that here. And then blunt force trauma to the head with brain matter coming out. You see that. And then you just, all the suspicious circumstances surrounding it all. But I think at the very least, what we're seeing with the Idaho 4, the University of Idaho, and everything that's happening with this case is silence. And that should be worrisome. Because there should be nothing to have to be silent about. Because nobody on that campus should have done anything like this. So why aren't we talking? I was trying to do some research last night on what policies there are in terms of, you know, the fraternity and sororities. They're on campus. You basically sign away some of your civil liberties in terms of some of the amendments that, you know, you can't have a gun on campus. So when you're living there in school, when you sign off on certain things, you're giving up your right to bear arms because you're not allowed to have a gun on campus. But what else, you know, what other little fine print is there? I never had to worry about this. Maybe I should have looked into it more, you know, closely when I was going to college. I honestly worried about the NCAA clearinghouse, worried about, you know, they kind of just took care of it. I never had to look at any of this stuff. You know, and maybe you should, but it's it's interesting when you actually read. Go read the Idaho student handbook. I do remember when we were at school, basically, if you go to the university and you say, okay, oh my gosh, I have a huge drug problem. I overdosed last night and I need to go get help. You know, and there's all this drugs in your room and your dorm room and all this crap. Well, if it's an emergency and you go straight to the university, you're not getting in any type of trouble with the police, okay? So long as you can meet with the dean and you sit down and you do a assessment, and whatever the dean tells you that you need to go and do, as long as you go and you do that, you do not get in trouble with like the law. Like they don't kick you out of school, and you're not getting in trouble with the law. So again, these are things that I'm pointing out because when you're on a college campus, you don't think about, wait a second, there's all these other rules. It's not just like you're an adult and you're just living in part of like the city, and no. You actually have to like obey by like the university's policies as well. So some stuff like changes, and but you forget about all that. I was in school 18 years ago, and I was just like, you know what? We should actually take a look at what the Idaho handbook says with what their policies are with different things. Like, how is the University of Idaho and other universities able to get around some stuff that goes on, and yada, yada, yada. So, fraternities and sororities are always going to be a part of college. They should be a part of college if that's what you want your college experience to be. But at what expense? Also, fraternities and sororities, there's all these chapters that are all connected. So when you're at, the University of Idaho, but you have Ohio State, you have, Tennessee, Texas, they all share, a Sigma Chi, okay? So if you're a Sigma Chi, you're a Sigma Chi for like the rest of your life. And you put that on your resume, people see that, and then it's always and forever the good old boys club within that. And I think that's more of what I've been seeing lately, and I'm starting to believe that. I'm starting to believe that people are getting passes and offered jobs over somebody else because, oh wait, the guy that runs that place, hey man, that's a SIG-Ep. You need to go. He'll hire you over somebody else because you were a SIG-Ep, and that other person was in a fraternity that they were like, oh man, I hated them people. So it's just interesting when you actually like sit down and you look at it in terms of like a business, because the university is a business, and guess who's running the University of Idaho? A businessman. That's who the president is. He was brought in there to bring enrollment up and bring more money to the university. And everybody knows that you better have a really good PR team to make money. Crisis Cast says, I'm sending you an email. All right, perfect. Thank you. I haven't really been looking at chat, so hopefully you guys have been chatting nice amongst yourselves there. So it's the Gregory Johnson story is a very sad story. I think I would feel the same way if I was his parents. No suicide note, wasn't suicidal. His medical records came back indicating the same thing. Also, if you look at the history of black males and educated black males don't, like, that's not something that black males go and do. Suicide isn't that's not a statistic that falls within that. When you want to talk about the history, I guess my question would be, if Gregory was still like alive right now, I'd want to ask him, hey, what made you want to like join Sigma Chi? Like, I would want to know why you want to join Sigma Chi, because I would just be interested to hear, when he was rushing or when he, was there, what type of vibe did he get that he was like, man, I feel really accepted and I really want to, like, yeah, I want to pledge this, I want to go here. Or I want to be a part of this. Obviously I already picked the college, but I want to be a part of this fraternity. I'd want to know that. What made, because a lot of people, did they make him feel welcomed? Then that would be interesting, for me to know that, just the dynamic of the psyche of, because I know I wouldn't want to go somewhere that I didn't feel welcomed and appreciated, and also that I felt that I couldn't, thrive in that environment. Jennifer Lynn. Okay, gotta run. Sorry, I stop and drop. But you can stop and drop. That sounds great. So let's see what you guys think over here in the comment section. Now, talking about everything that's going on with the University of... thank you for that. That's awesome. That's very kind. Jennifer, appreciate that. But the University of Idaho is... You get rumors now circulating of possibly bullying. Was bullying going on? I think bullying goes on, unfortunately, you know, from the time like you start elementary school. It's really sad because I wonder if the teachers just don't have it in them to tell parents, but every time I ever talk to my kid's teacher, I'm always asking how his behavior is and, you know, is he being a kind boy and things like that. But I don't know what parents, how you could say that if you found out that your kid was picking on somebody that you'd be like, yeah, way to go. You know, I think my first question would be like, why did you do that? Why would you say that? What happened? You know, let them explain what happened, and then you explain like, we don't do that. And this is how you'd handle that situation. But I would definitely want to know why they did it and see where that's coming from. But bullying is something that happens at a young age. And unfortunately, when parents aren't around and aren't active in someone's life in that capacity, there's definitely a reason that someone bullies, though. There's a void missing. So, girls can be mean. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's... for this to be brought up and people are talking about, oh, the girl that died, you know, back, in 2022 in February. You guys, that was not who was on the lease. Who's ever putting that out there? That is not true whatsoever. That girl was not on the lease, was not living at 1122 King Street and never had any, you know, that was never happening. That's not the person that was on that lease. I don't know if they were bullying or not. I don't think that one of the girls, or even if all of them are bullying, that there would be some massive plan to take them down in a brutal stabbing. I don't think that. I would see more of like, I'm gonna slash that bitch's tires, or like, you know. But hey. Yes, Michael, that's so true. They do. I think it's just, I just urge parents, that if you hear of your kid bullying, it starts at a young age, and it's making fun. When someone says, oh, they were just making fun, no, making fun is bullying. That's just a way for you to say it so that you don't think that your kid's a bully. No, when you make fun of somebody, that's bullying. So if your kid's making fun of somebody, there's a reason that they're making fun of somebody. That's insecurity on their own part. So parents out there, when your kids hear that, remind them that person has a huge insecurity about themselves. Otherwise, they would never be picking on somebody else. Yeah, but another day goes by and Idaho's lost. Outrunning errands, yes, that is true. They always catch the second punch, you know what I mean? When someone punches you, they don't see it, but they'll always see the retaliation, you know? It's the same thing with, you know, it's just, it's funny. Hey, teacher, where were you on the first, you know, what they did? And see, that's where a teacher should be asking what happened and figure that out, because it takes two to tango, especially when you're young. I bet the FBI is keeping tabs on the police department, the Moscow Police Department. Well, that's interesting. Keep them in line over there. You know what I found interesting when I was doing the statistics the other night is at the point where they said that they had 90 interviews. I thought that was interesting, because I'm like, okay, who are these 90? Like, who? When you say interviews, who are you interviewing, and what are you saying to these people? Like, how would you even know who to interview at that point? Because then in the next breath I hear, we have no idea how many people were in that house at that time of that 911 call, and it's like, well, out of your 90 interviews that you took, I'm hoping that 2 of those would be the surviving roommates, and that they would be talked to for a very long time. Very long time. But for you to say in a presser that you don't know, I'm just like, I was blown away. We're clearing people, but we have no idea how many people were there when that 911 call was made. I would just think a simple question of, okay, do you remember what you did? When you came outside, okay, you passed out, then you came to, who was there? Who else do you remember seeing there? You know, okay, now the other roommate, same type of questions. Yep, they're clearing without forensics. Everybody should be asking themselves right now, how do you go from being a targeted attack to then being complex? How is a targeted attack complex? You got 4 kids. Look at their significant other or ex-significant others. You have very intimate ways of killing somebody that happened to these 4. They said it was targeted, and then it's complex. So I thought about what would make this complex. I mean, how many people hated these 4? They have a physical profile of the subject. Blood type, height, shoe size, gender, right-handed, left-handed. John Nelson says that they have a physical profile. I'm guessing, yep, because of the crime scene. Absolutely. The autopsy, yep, with the stabbings, right or left, yep. They know if it's one knife, if it's multiple. They know the order. Mystery Maverick says, I don't believe it was a target attack. I believe it was a thrill killer, someone with antisocial personality disorder. I went through the body cam footage briefly. Bella's been like begging me to like watch it like a movie, dissect it. So I was watching a little bit of it, and I'm like, I forget what was the part, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, how long does he have them standing right there? Like, how much information are they writing down? Why is this taking so long? You know what I mean? Because you look at the body cam, and then the next thing you know, it's 3:20. And it's like, okay, and they're just like literally right there, just street over. And then the guy's telling him like, hey, it's okay. Like, we know that you're going to drink. It's college, but like, don't, like, just do that in your room. You know, you don't come out here and just like get drunk and walk around and like be falling over. And I'm thinking to myself, these guys are standing right there. No one's falling over. They're answering your questions, and they're talking, and you're just bullshitting with them about like, oh, when you buy that car, like you just smash it. What are you doing with that car for your fraternity party? Oh yeah, man, it's so fun. Like, we just buy a junker and then we just smash it. Who doesn't like want to join a fraternity to just smash a car? Like, okay. And then he's telling them that it's okay to drink, or it's okay to underage drink. Just don't leave your room. Not like, hey, where'd you get this from? Like, okay, you've been drinking. Like, where'd you get the beer from? You know, like, did they ask?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And they said, sorry, I don't remember. Then one of them ratted out and said, it was a guy named Matt. And then the other one's like, oh, no. But
Yeah.
they didn't want to rat him out. But remember, it's $487.50 for the first time. So
Yeah, that's, yeah. Yeah, the $487 fee. And then they're like, hey, you know, this is not criminal or anything. This isn't going to go on your criminal. This isn't criminal or anything. We're, you know, this is just a citation. Basically, like, you just have to pay. And it's like, wait a second. So basically, you have this task force that's in plain clothes, in a plain car, to literally just find people to make money for the university.
Mm-hmm. He said it. He said that's what we're doing today.
It's okay, guys. We know you're going to drink. We know it's college. Just do it. Just don't leave the house when you do it. And it's just like, wait, what? I couldn't believe when he literally says that on body cam. And I'm like, what an idiot. Like, that's just when someone's trying to act like cool after the fact. Oh, man, it's okay. And he's like, all right, thanks, bro. I'm just like, I've been like, wait, what? It's just wild. So yeah, $475. So they're basically, all they care about is, you know, we just want to cite people so that we can make money for the university.
And that's only the first offense. So the second offense, he said, is significantly more money. And then the third offense, it becomes a misdemeanor.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe that the totality of the evidence leads to it being a targeted attack, but the motive has clearly stumped investigators. I think that they thought that, okay, we're going to be, I mean, we have all this evidence here. We're going to be like, that's what I think that they thought at the beginning. And don't know why they thought that, but has anyone asked if the victims were parishioners? I have not asked any of the victims or their families.
That's come up a lot today, so I wonder if that's like a topic that's being talked about.
Oh, is it about, yeah, because about that dude. It's about that pastor.
Oh, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I looked into him. It's just a... They would rather them stay inside and be safe, unlike being out when there was a killer 200 yards away. Yeah, did you hear the ironic part in that saying with the body cam?
Which one?
When it was like, he's like, yeah, I thought it would be a lot more going on.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I thought there would be a lot more going on. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, legit, at the end of it, he's like, all right, yeah, man, I thought it's a pretty quiet... They were expecting it to be a wilder of a weekend. Doesn't really kind of say why, but...
Well, no, he does. He said it's because the Vandals are playing, and it was like one of their last games or something like that.
Senior night.
So he said that he expected it to be crazier, and the kids are like, well, it's kind of been cold.
Yeah.
So we've been inside.
He's like, yeah, it's been like a... Basically, he said it's been like a boring night. And then literally says the words boring night, and then boom. That's on a body cam. And then here you go. It's being said.
I'm asking Lana if we could do a members only live where we just show the body cam footage and just kind of go through it. It's like a 45-minute thing if you show both body cams, and just like for, you know, fun and spit. I don't know. She has a lot on her plate.
Suzanne B, absolutely. A cop is in my top 3. 100%. Because also of it possibly, like if we're talking about it being covered up, was there signs, you know, at the scene? But yeah, definitely. But you guys, I haven't talked about anything. Let's see. Mystical, do you know what Kaylee's dad meant when cops wanted them to sign waiver to give permission for mail? Oh yeah, for the mail for her, basically, because that's federal. For them to be able to, if she's getting mail at the house, or any of them are getting mail at the house, if somebody would be still mailing, so anything that was coming through, we just need you to sign a waiver that we can get the mail and go through it. Because that's a federal offense. You can't just go through someone's mail. That's what they were referring to. I looked into like the campus police because they gave it up on the body cam. They're like, they said 2 names. And I'm like, they only have 2 campus security people for campus. And so he gave 2 names up. I'm just like, Jesus. Like, that's just, hey man, I got the first 12-hour shift. You got the last, I mean, what? That can't be possible. That can't be possible. Did they sleep in the same room that night because she was half moved out? That's what, you know, it's being alleged as, yeah. I don't think there's anything weird about that. They've been best friends since 6th grade, and like sister, like I think that they've done that a lot, especially if they're not, you know, with their boyfriend and they're just hanging out, being silly with their phones on social media, doing stupid stuff, calling people, texting, whatever, talking after the night. Yeah, she was at her mom's, her parents. She had went there that weekend to show her vehicle, hang out the night before for that, you know, formal. And then it was more like when she was leaving that house that day from her parents to go, it was going to be like a weekend thing, and head back on Sunday. I actually have a lot of questions about the whole classes, and I mean, I hate to say this, but I was looking at what their majors were and this whole internship stuff and yada, yada, yada. Well, Kaylee was a general studies major, basically, it was like arts and letters, and I don't know what internship you would have with that major. So I'm curious if it was just like, you know, she wasn't obviously doing it because she was getting credit for school because she was graduating, they said, you know, this December, which I think that she should still, hopefully that her parents get and they should get her diploma, which I think that was like, what, this past weekend, I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think anybody came through any vacant bedroom windows. I'm leaning towards, right now I have a lot of questions about the roommates, just in terms of their whereabouts that day. Where were they? Who were they with? Did they tell anybody that Kaylee was in town? I mean, who did Kaylee see? Who knew that she was there? Who was at the house earlier? But what were they doing? And do they have vehicles? Because none of their vehicles were in the parking lot. Also, are they sure that they locked that door? When they would close up for the night, how would they go about that? But I think that you can, from the roommates, what you're going to get from them is you should be getting all of your normal questions in terms of what was your normal pattern of behavior? What were your house rules? Everybody, when they live with people, I don't care, you be best friends for life. You still have like house rules in college. Like, you know, so what were those? Like, if you want to have a party, do you have to get it approved by everybody in the house? If you want to have people over, do they have to like know people? Do they only stay in your room? I mean, just what were your house rules?
What were your house rules, Lana?
What were my house rules? Yeah, like we were athletes though. Like we were like bar people. We would go, like our house was sophisticated.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like we weren't going to let people dirty our shit. Like we had a nice, I don't know.
It wasn't a frat house?
No. But it was like, it wasn't like some uptight place. It was just, I don't want, like your house is like your space. You know what I'm saying? And when I want to go to bed, like I'm not entertaining you. Like, no way. Like, we would never just be like, okay, well, we're going to bed and people are in our house. Absolutely not. So she said she earned, yeah, I think that she earned it. But I think that you could get a lot of questions answered because of patterns of behavior, because let's know these patterns of behavior. What time did you normally go to bed? Would you guys leave lights on? How did you guys close up the back slider? Because that's why I put out that last part 2. I wanted to have all those pressers in there, because when you actually listen to all of the things that they were saying, or I should say lack thereof, I mean, it tells me that that guy was literally standing up there. I felt bad for him. He could even just say stuff, oh, we can't talk about that because that's part of the investigation. He literally didn't know. He's like, I don't know. We don't even know that. We don't even know that. I didn't even know that there was that. I didn't even know that happened. You know, like those were his answers to questions. And I'm just thinking like, wow, no wonder why you guys aren't doing any more press conferences, because you guys look like, it does not look good. It looks really bad. Or it's just discouraging, I guess, for the family.
Tyler's saying he's a cop. Do you have any cop questions for him?
Tyler's a cop.
We'll think of something.
Chicka says, I was a bar person too. I didn't want people staying at my house when I would want to go home. Yep, exactly. That's how we were. That's how we were. And yeah.
Hi, Tyler.
Tyler's a police officer.
So glad you're here with us.
Some of my really good friends are police officers. Thank you for your service there, Tyler. Cheers to Tyler.
Cheers. Oh, how are we doing it?
I don't know, like this. There you go, Tyler.
We figured this out yesterday for anyone who missed that. The best way to clink beers.
Okay, so here's a really good question for you guys. Think about it. I asked, it was the question of literally 2022. It was in part 2 of the video that I did. And I said, how did they know who Hoodie Guy was to clear Hoodie Guy? Think about it. When that video surfaced, we found out about it really quick because of Kaylee's sister. Kaylee's sister took it to the police, right? Did Kaylee's sister identify who Hoodie Guy was? You know, because they don't ask us, hey, do you guys know who the person in this video is? Please contact the Moscow. You know what I mean? There is no, we are looking for the identity of this man. Does anybody know who this is? Please call the tip line. You know? So none of that happens. So how does the police come to not only within 3 days, right? You know, not, I mean, you got the 13th, you got the 14th, you got the 15th, you got the 16th. I'm sorry, 7 days. They never say, hey, see this video right here? We need to know who this guy is. No, and in fact, what you start seeing is, when that video came out, then literally all of a sudden it was like, no. A little presser goes out with like typed up, and they are they want people to like be, blaring that face out. So I want to know, my question would be, if I was there, I'd raise my hand and say, can you pass me that mic? Thank you. Hey, Sarge.
Take the mic, please.
Hey, Sarge, take the mic. My first question goes to the police chief. How did you come to find out who Hoodie guy was? Because you didn't ask for the public's help. So when you saw that video, did you recognize him?
You hate my answer. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. But I like yours. That maybe the sister... Mine's the most sensitive.
Well, no, that's what. But I think that's how he would answer it. I think that what you're saying is correct, but it would confuse people for us to say that.
Oh, okay, so I have to say, in my opinion,
because people would think that, that's how it happened. I want to know why. So it'd be like, hey, Sarge, over here, pass that. Yeah, thank you. This is Lana with Truth and Transparency. I have a question for the police chief. My question is you never asked for the public's help with identifying who the white hoodie guy was. When you saw that video, did you know who he was and that's why you didn't need help? Oh, guess what I did today? I sent out 37 public request acts today. We filled it all out. The questions that we asked. Wait for it.
You guys, Lana is a trooper today. She's literally she has not left to eat or do anything. She's been working. I don't know how many hours, Lana.
I just when I woke up, so I've been at my desk since at least 10 a.m. I've been sitting here.
It's been 12 hours.
Yeah.
And no joke, you guys. Today was a grind. It's Sunday, but it was a grind. So let's hear it for her. You hear the applause?
Yeah, I hear it. Do you hear it?
You did a great job.
Well, I did an hour and 30-minute prison phone call.
That's true.
So you guys are going to hear that. It's just like, it breaks my heart. Like, he should not be where he's at. And it's just like, wow. Can you, like, you get pissed when you get blamed for, I didn't put the dishwasher on with four glasses in there. Don't blame me for that.
Wait,
you know what I mean? Like,
what?
And now, I think an average day though for me to put in is between 12 to 15 hours. But this one was a grind though. Today was, because I did so much. Like, I felt like I was doing a lot of things.
No, today was different than most days. Like, a lot of days you do a lot and work like maybe 16 hours, but it'll be like you'll have like a 2-hour break or an hour, an hour here, an hour there. You didn't get breaks today at all.
Yeah, I didn't even get to have a steak dinner.
What?
I'm just thinking about steaks, juicy steaks.
Anyone want to donate to a steak dinner? I'll go pick it up.
Well, I've come across a lot of good stuff. That's why, like, and the way that my brain works is once you come across something, then like I know where I need to go next, and you got to find good stopping points. But I'm putting together 4,000 pages for this discovery with a 2005 case, and today I had like an aha, like, killer moment. Like, hell yeah, it was like, it's going to be really good. I'll be sharing it with all of you guys, don't worry.
Megan wants us to sing to her tomorrow for her birthday.
Are you guys going live tomorrow? Because it's my birthday and I want you... Yeah, sure. Yeah, actually I am in the evening because it's part 3 of that timeline gets released. So...
Happy birthday, Megan. if I don't.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Won't it be your birthday in like a couple of hours, depending on where you are?
Stick around. Yeah, so guys, I'm telling you, like, where do they get off just like, you know, Hoodie guy was identified by, you know, one of the roommate, you know, just So Bella's thing is that when that came across and it went, you know, viral, that video, the food truck, that's when whoever is the person, that's the Hoodie guy, his lawyers,
his mama and papa,
and lawyers, called the police and said, hey,
cease and desist this.
Yeah, because, hey, that's, you know, this has gone viral. My client just called me. You know, he's getting death threat. I mean, whatever was said, and what do you need to do so we can clear this up? Because, you know, I'm also calling on behalf of the parents. So that's how it would be like a get ahead of the game type of thing. And so it would be just something like this. Well, I guess the best way to do that would be to come in and give us your DNA. What? Like, at that point, think about it though. That chief would have been like, huh? What are you what video? Just think of, like, you get this phone call because you're at the crime scene and you're, you know, wait, what video are you talking about?
Unless you call Coomer Scott Green and you say...
Unless you call Coomer Scotty.
Coomer, as a Sigma Chi aficionado, get my son's stuff off the internet.
Yeah, so it would just be like, I think that the chief would be like, I have no idea what video you're talking about. and then they'd have to like, okay, yeah, so my client that's him. And what do you need from us? What do you need from him? You know, he had nothing to do with those 4 murdered students. And I have a feeling this is going to, you know, like, I think the chief is like, what are you going to say in that situation? Yeah, right now we're at the gathering of information. So, I mean, I can't go out there and really tell people, like, what do you want me to do? Like, think about how awkward that would be.
No, because they're owned by the university. But listen, if Coomer's going to call you and Coomer's going to tell the chief.
I talked about the bullying earlier. The bullying.
Oh, look at Suzanne B. towards the steak.
Oh, towards that steak.
Suzanne B., you're going to make me have to go out and get a steak.
182. Hit that thumbs up. Let's see. Like, how much to make this go away? So when the roommates, this is what Tyler says. So when the roommates found the bodies, did they know they were dead, or did they think one of them passed out? All of that is not being clarified by law enforcement. The best answer that I could give you, Tyler, for that is that a 911 call originated inside the home from one of the roommates' cell phones. And we responded to an unconscious person. When we showed up, we go inside and there are 4 deceased students. 2 on the 2nd floor, 2 on the 3rd floor. And the 911 call will not be released. There was multiple people on the 911 call, and due to our investigation, we won't be releasing the 911 call. So this is my opinion, is that the 911 call did originate inside. The one roommate comes out, she's hysterical, screaming, and I think that there was some type of either, you know, a neighbor heard this, or she attempted to call somebody before she even then called 911. But the whole passing out and unconscious person was actually the roommate that passed out from what she saw inside. So the person on the 911 call said, I don't know, this girl's unconscious, like she just passed out. Like she's screaming, she's hysterical, and then she just fainted. And then that 911 call, though, like it continued on. It wasn't like they hung up. That's why they're not releasing the 911 call, because what I think happened is that they go inside with the phone and somebody is walking around describing everything. Just like talking on 911, like, and then they pass it to somebody. Like this phone got passed around, and people were. I want to know if somebody threw up in there. No, I'm serious.
But I like what you said. I like the epiphany you had yesterday.
What was that? Cheers.
It was that here come the surviving roommates or whoever, and they see, let's say Ethan, whichever of the roommates, and they call their friends to come over, right? And you said, you thought, and I think this is a great thought, that maybe they thought it was an OD. I love that thought. Hi, Mezzy. Mez is here saying hi to you.
Oh, hi.
It's past her bedtime and she's here.
The unconscious person, the friend told the roommate to call. The friend was the one that saw the body and told the other roommates to call. Now, I will say this. Well, that's how I'm explaining it is how authorities were trying to explain it. Now can I say how I deem this happened?
Yeah, please do it.
Okay, now this is how I believe this happened. So what I was trying to do is give it in the terms of that's how law enforcement is making it seem. Now insert Lana. You got two girls on the bottom floor. Again, I still question if any of them left at any point in time to go get a booty call. Okay. They do not have any of their vehicles in the parking lot. Where are their vehicles? That's their lot. You would not park in the street. You would park in that lot, without a doubt. You would park in that lot. That's the whole reason you have a house like that. Besides, college kids are lazy. Girls, boys, it doesn't matter. You're pulling up. Where that cop car is, a car should have been there. Unless these two do not have vehicles. That's the only reason. So I want to know where their vehicles were. It is very common for girls to, I'm going to bed, go to bed at 1. Well, just because you go in your room at 1 does not mean you go to sleep. Then I get a call from Joe. Joe's like, hey, baby girl, why don't you come on over? Like, let's just watch some Netflix and chill, aka have a hookup sesh, and then you leave. Okay, so did anybody leave? Because all they're talking about is that they got home at 1. And they won't really go on from that. Okay, so did anybody leave after that from the roommates? Did they then come back at like 6 o'clock in the morning? Now, they have an entry point. That front door is right basically into their room. They would never need to go to the second floor, never need to go to the third floor. They do not use the slider. These two girls, because of where their bedrooms are, they use the front door, hands down, without a doubt. So you got the two girls on the bottom floor. They use that front door. So if I wake up in the morning and I want to go get Burger King or McDonald's because I have a hangover, or I say I want Sweet Susie, I'm going to text my friend and be like, hey girl, dude, I'm dying. I need you to bring me some McDonald's. Bring me a greasy burger.
Hangover food?
Yeah. And so then my friend comes over with this hangover food. And she knows the code to get in, so she comes through the bottom of like the front door, and she comes right into my room, and we're just literally sitting there in my room eating cheeseburgers. I haven't even gotten out of bed yet, and just she's there, so I have a friend there now. Well, who's to say that she came by herself? Because we're all gonna go do Sunday Fun Day. Get it together, girl. Let's go. So nobody has to go to the second floor or the third floor yet. There's no reason to. And you have a bathroom down there. So literally, like, there is no reason. Plus, guys, it is in the morning. Everybody was out late. You got blackout blinds. These girls had blackout blinds. Okay, like you cannot. That's like a hotel. That is a blackout blind. It is normal for people not to wake up until 11 and noon and 1 in college. So when people want to say, "Oh my God, how did they not find the bodies until noon?" Well, these people were They were sleeping.
It was the weekend.
Yeah, it was Sunday morning. So, but there is no reason for these two girls, to go upstairs onto that second level and to be communicating with their roommates, because let's be honest, we all have cell phones. We text each other if we're in the same house, especially like that. You're laying in bed and you're texting Kaylee, or you're texting Matt, you're texting Ethan, Dana, like you text them. Okay, they didn't respond yet. They're not up yet. Okay, you're not going to scream and be like, yo, and wake people up, because then you get yelled at, and then your friends are like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you yelling at 9 o'clock in the morning? Again, house rules. So for people to say how this is very common to me, why they would not be discovered until noon, and why they would be discovered by multiple people, is because one of the bottom floor people, invited people to come there to go and do whatever they were supposed to do that day. Hey, come pick me up. We're going to go here, or you're bringing me something to eat. And then you get up, because the last thing you want to do, that house was a mess because they had pre-gaming for the football game. Oh God, I don't even want to go up there and clean. So you go up there, and now you're at that noon phase where you're going up to the second floor where your kitchen's at. And now that's where the question lies, is were they in the beds? Okay. And in the room with the doors open, but there's really no reason to be up on that third floor. So, so here you are. Was Ethan in the middle of the hallway? They're trying to say that if you go listen to the coroner, when you listen to who was it? Saying that they were all dead in bed. Mm. And I'm just like, wait, but what happened to Ethan being
in the doorway? Yeah.
In the doorway of, were these doors opened? Would these roommates, is it customary to, like, I'm not just going to barge in my roommate. I'm going to knock on the door. And if they don't answer their bedroom door, I'm not barging in. Especially, that's just not what you do. So my question is let's check out these people's phones. Were people texting them? Was Jack D texting or calling the next morning because Kaylee and Maddie were blowing him up? All of this type of stuff. For that steak, oh God, I'm going to get a nice steak.
I know, right? She's so sweet. Thank you, Suzanne B.
Woohoo! With blood everywhere, it makes no sense. See, now this is where we're going to get into with this blood everywhere. I question this blood everywhere. And I'm talking to Scott Roeder tomorrow. Mm. He is one of, if not the best crime scene,
The best.
He is the best.
Hands down.
Hands down, the best. Crime scene reenactment, crime scene, you name it, anything to do with crime scene. And I had talked to him earlier. I was like, hey, we're doing this. You're coming on my show, and we're going to talk about this crime scene. Just because I want to talk about the amount of blood that everyone's talking about. I can't speak from... I asked Bella if we can go buy a couple Wilburs and do some reenactments with pigs.
I said no.
And she said no.
Not while I'm here. That's horrifying. Yeah,
you couldn't see blood whenever law enforcement had opened in front. 100%, exactly. No, and guess what else? They were always standing there. They were always walking in and out of that front door. They were standing all on top of that. Yeah, they would put on their booties, for their little shoes to cover it. But they used that door there in the front door. I don't think there was any blood down there. I don't think they would have been walking all over that. But it just, where this blood would be, I don't think that when you would go into this home, you're going to see blood sprayed on all of the walls. Like, here's the kitchen, there's just blood everywhere. No, I don't, that's not, I'm sorry, it's just not going to be like that. But who am I? I want to hear what Scott has to say. But now we all watch Dexter, right? Let's take out some, like, you know, you're going to see, like, there's going to be, like,
well, I studied
the spray pattern and,
but I won't let you use a pig.
all of that stuff, though. Can we go get, like, food coloring and, like, get some knives and just do some dipping and do some, like, you know, because I think there's gonna be a lot of guts. Like, if you're, you know, I just believe the way that the second attack happened. When I say second attack, I believe that Ethan and Xana, you know, it was upstairs first, and then it was not planned to kill Ethan and Xana, and the only reason that had happened was if he heard something, opened up the door because he heard the scream, open up the door to, you know, or Xana heard it and she opened up the door. Either way, but the whole bruising and being, you know, I think I covered that in a different.
Well, think about this K-bar style knife. So what we're talking about is a fixed blade knife.
They wore gloves, so I don't think they would not be cutting themselves.
Well, if they had a good guard on the knife, they wouldn't have slippage, and they wore gloves. They could cut through it, but they probably had a good guard, I'm thinking.
Where I would be hopeful that they would cut the perpetrator would be scratching of the victims. Like, did Kaylee, Madison, Ethan, or Xana, were they able to scratch at their, you know, this person's neck, you know, any part of their body? Were they able to get their nails in? Also, where are their cell phones? You know, no one's raised their hand in these damn pressers and says, hey, well, do you have, were the cell phones taken? I mean, come on. Like, what kind of questions are they asking?
Wasted questions.
How about I'll just take care of it?
You know how we were talking about that, though, like the other day, about how it would have happened, and we kind of, like a blitz attack on anybody, especially someone in college, you're not going to immediately think somebody's here to kill me.
Exactly.
You're going to think it's maybe a fraternity hazing, or it's someone playing a joke on you, and so you're not going to be in defense mode right away, right? So that kind of puts everyone at a disadvantage against this murderer. First of all, they're sleeping or drowsy. Even if Ethan got up, he's like kind of, you know, he just got up. Maybe drunk or buzzed. Or
well, I'm also still going with the fact that depending on how drunk we're talking, I mean, I know the two girls, you know, Maddie was definitely heavily intoxicated. Absolutely. She could not barely stand. But I thought Kaylee was so polite at the, you know, oh, I thought I had this discount. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You know,
share my food.
Yeah. And it was just like, you know, she wasn't like incoherent. Had she been drinking? Of course. But they're doing everything the right way. They're calling for a ride. They're not getting behind a wheel to go possibly ruin someone else's life, you know, drinking and driving.
Absolutely.
They're doing everything right. They get home. They're safe. They think they're safe. They're in their own bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you raise your kids just to do things the right way. And, you know, meaning like you're going to call for a ride. I don't care if it costs money. I don't care if you're waking me up. Like, you just look at that night. And even Xana and Ethan, allegedly, I believe that they made a $840 payment to a share ride. How did they get home, you know, at that 1:45? How do we even know that they were at home at 1:45? What evidence are they going off of that for that? But they did things the right way. You think you're home, you think you're safe. And what Bella was saying was that even if somebody was to come and be in your house, if you're used to these fraternities doing like these playing jokes on people. So if Ethan was the one that stood up, got out of the bed because he heard something, and then see somebody coming down and running down from being upstairs, or were they being quiet? You know what I mean? Your first initial thought isn't like, oh my God, you're upstairs killing my roommates. Your first thought is just, wait, what's... Like, did they have a mask on? you know, was the perpetrator's head visible that, oh, hey, what the hell are you doing here? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the person then he realizes, wait, he's got a knife. He just starts coming for him and just starts gutting, you know, going right in the gut and then pushing him back into the bedroom. That's what I believe. If there was like someone tried to come out, that it went and he pushed him back into that room. But again, we don't know what the crime scene is. But if you listen to the coroner and you listen to people and they talk about, we believe that they were sleeping. All of them were sleeping at the time of the attack. Then how would there be defensive wounds?
Exactly. There wouldn't. They said some had defensive wounds, so those are the people that woke up.
Well, if they got two people that are in the same bed,
Exactly.
I believe that if somebody was getting stabbed next to me,
Right.
I'm gonna,
Yes.
you know,
You're going to wake up.
I'm gonna wake up to the point of, and that's where we were saying that you would then start attacking the person that just was waking up, because you've already attacked a little bit on that person that you hit first. But it just the blood though. If I kill you first and then I kill Susie second,
Okay.
none of Susie's blood is going to be on you coming so, unless in the same bed and I'm going every other to hit but that would show that.
Right.
But Ethan's blood is not going to be on either one of you.
Unless you go back, but I believe they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
No, but absolutely. I think they would know the order. But we've talked about this too. To stab somebody is such a personal and gruesome and difficult thing to do. Even with a sharp knife, it's just not. It just takes such a deranged human to do that. And not once, but 4 times.
Yeah, and so people say, because I've said this, hey, why was there no 911 dialing? Now, guys, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why even your initial thing wouldn't be you hear a noise, you're not calling 911. If you're a party house, that's the last thing that you do is call 911, depending on what's in that house.
Absolutely.
You don't call 911. And also your initial thought with anything, depending on what the behavior and the patterns are with your roommates, oh God, it's Ethan and Xana again, they're arguing. Were they arguers? You get what I'm saying? Or
it's a joke, it's a frat joke.
Yeah, your initial thing is that when you hear a scream, oh my God, I have to call 911 right now because I heard a scream, unless you hear something clear as day is, intruder, oh my God, something like that. But even then, if they're all involved with this Greek life and how, I'm telling you, what they do to each other, dude, they play sick ass jokes on each other all the time. And I think it all just happened also so quick that
it was a blitz attack. It had to have been.
Yeah.
We'll know more,
but think about this. These officers, this chief, had no problem going out also into the community immediately saying, this is a targeted attack.
Exactly. Don't worry.
This is targeted attack. There was, and then they're saying because of the crime scene. Remember, there's no forensics at that point. So whatever was in that house and however that crime scene was, it was
so obvious.
So obvious. So obvious. But now think about this. Maybe the reason that they were saying this is a target attack because there was no forced entry. So they're oh, they knew their killer because they just let him in. No, there could be no forced entry because we didn't lock the door. Or somebody knew the code. What? You just listen to that. I just try to break down the words that they say, and it's the totality of what we saw. Okay, well, you haven't seen a murder in 7 years, and you've never seen anything like that.
Lana. But we also don't know now, because of how things are run in this investigation, if they said this is a targeted attack due to it being something to quell everyone's fears at the school. Because the number one thing when Green took over, he had 3 objectives. One of those 3, so a third of his objectives, was to get the school to be the safest place ever.
But think about that. Why would he need to have one of his objectives be the safest place?
Thank you.
Why was it not safe when you took over?
Right, and so now is he going to get fired because now it's just not safe?
I mean, we're not. It just.
Cooper, what'd you do?
We did some digging into the university. We did digging into. This is a new president. Became president in 2019. He was in an interim period until 2020 in January, when then that guy. Okay, now you can go ahead, take it on. This guy that's the president, he was running like Fortune 500 companies.
Lawyer, accountant.
Well, he was an accountant, but he was running. He was like the CEO. Absolutely. He's making big bucks. Big bucks. Leaves making big, huge bucks.
Is only making $420,000 now.
Yeah, only making $420 a year instead of like pushing like a mil.
A mil.
And so it's like, okay. And he was like the underdog. They were never thinking that this guy was ever going to win. They were not expecting Green to win. When I say win, there's not like he was not voted on by the students or anything. It was in front of your panel, you're interviewing. But he was not that wasn't someone where they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's going to be like our guy.
They called him the non-traditional
pick or whatever.
Because he didn't have a collegiate background. But he was from Moscow. He
went to Harvard for business school.
He went to Harvard for business school, and he got his MBA from there. But he doesn't have a PhD.
Yeah,
a lot of the other people did.
But he's a businessman. He's a bullshitter.
And they loved him for it.
Yeah, like he's going to raise money for that university.
The president before him, I believe his last name was Staben. Do not quote me on that. That's just coming from my incredible memory. And I think Green liked him, but was gonna outdo him, and that's what Green wanted to do, is perform. He thought that it was gonna be. He's from fraternity life. He went to Idaho.
Yeah. He went to the University of Idaho.
The University of Idaho.
He's a frat boy.
He's a frat boy. So he understands these kids, right?
Something brought him there, though.
Well, he said he wanted to change everyone's lives.
Well, that's what you're just going to say. I mean,
absolutely.
He's 60 years old. I think he looks older. He looks older. Him and Gabrielle. I think he looks a little older because he's let all of his gray come through. But it was really interesting when we saw that one of his objectives was that he wanted to make Idaho the safest place ever to go to school. And I'm thinking,
right.
What was wrong with it when you took over? Was it unsafe?
Well, I want to actually can we read his object? Like, the 3 objectives are boring, you guys, but like the safety thing is just like, what are you even talking about? And then they thought he was going to get rid of the diversity program, because Staben, again, I don't know if that's right. That's just my memory. If my memory is bad, then I don't know. We'll just flog me tomorrow about it. But like, Staben had made the Latino like a program for like Latinos, and people thought that Green was going to get rid of it because he was like very non-committal about keeping it.
Yeah. He's over here saying how he supports the students and the faculty.
Yeah.
You didn't support Bennett, Denise Bennett. She was a lippy little thing, and you went after her. But yeah, I don't know. I looked at Idaho and I was like, yeah, the Vandals, Idaho, yep. Like, you don't hear anything about Idaho, University of Idaho, and it's just like flies under the radar. It's not like their football program is not Division I or anything like that. It's in the smaller.
Oh no.
But I'm telling you, that university, without that university there is no Moscow. Like, there's just that's everything.
Go ahead, Lana. Read us that first priority right there.
Priority number 1, Green breaks his priorities into 3 areas. He wants to enhance the student experience. He says he's committed to making the U of I a safe campus, a process that begins with bystander intervention for incoming students and training in the residence halls and fraternities and sororities. So what was going on that they felt his number one thing is about safety?
I don't know. What do you think it is?
And he's talking about sororities and fraternities because it's not safe. Because actually, if you look at it, I think it's a drug-infested campus. I think that who's selling the drugs? You know, every town has like their drug dealer. Who's selling their drugs there?
I don't know, but
Where's everybody getting their coke from? Their meth from?
So the University of Boise.
They're also doing pills. You have to think about it. These are rich kids. They don't need no heroin. They're not doing heroin there.
Let's just get mollies. They're just rolling. What are they doing?
Oh, if anybody wants to, you guys can just don't go down your rabbit hole with the Hannah thing. I've already done all that. Hannah was not the sixth roommate, guys. Okay. Hannah's dad made it perfectly clear that, you know.
She died of an overdose.
Yes, of over-the-counter
medication.
Yeah, pills. And now, could that just have been told to him? Sure, but he did come out and speak on that. But it's really important. Please, Hannah was not the sixth roommate on that lease. Yes. That is complete false.
Yes, they're just trying to
100% false. And more importantly, they're talking about was one of the victims a roommate of hers her freshman year. I'm willing to say 99% no. If this is in fact true, don't you think that there would be some substantial, like, oh, here's a picture of them together, from freshman year? It just. But.
Oh my God, Jesse just made me laugh.
I just don't think any of that is worth talking about. But what I do think is worth talking about is, so when I was at school, and what people like to say, oh my God, you're going to you're going to the University of Cincinnati, you're going to the ghetto, and I'm like, what? No, I'm not. But whatever, you can say that, whatever you want to say.
Is Cincinnati like?
No, it was just because. No, it's not at all. But what's crazy is that I look back, and during my time in college, I don't remember the only thing that ever happened where it would have been like, oh my God, was the riots that happened downtown where the movie Traffic was filmed. It's called Over the Rhine, which is now beautiful. The government pumped all this money, and the mayor did an amazing job and put it to the right. It ended the right stuff. But my golf teammate, when we were on an away trip, it was a murder-suicide. Her boyfriend came over, she was a walk-on, murdered her. Her brother was over.
Oh my God.
He was hiding, though, so he didn't know that he was there, and then shot himself. That happened my sophomore year.
That is really disturbing.
Yeah, she had just walked on the team, and she made it, and she wasn't traveling. But she was on the team, but she just didn't travel for that tournament. And while we were away, we get a phone call, and it was horrible. But yeah, but that's the only, there was no people ODing and stuff like that. No. But I also was not involved with the fraternities and sororities, but that wasn't happening. And I didn't hear about it, and nobody was dying. Nobody was committing suicide. The only thing was one incident, and her boyfriend, yeah. But I look at this campus, but now, mind you, it's 20 years, that was between 2000 to 2005.
Right.
I look at this campus, and I see for 11,000 students in the middle of nowhere, predominantly white, money. Either you're there because you're on an academic scholarship and it's free because it's an academic scholarship. You're there because it's free because it's a sport, and you went there, or mommy and daddy have a lot of money. That's what I see in Idaho. Out of the 11,000 students. And every weekend, what I see in these calls is we're taking canines through an air. What? What's going on? But you're writing people up for underage drinking.
Lana, $487.50 on your first offense.
And it's okay, well,
there was 3 guys there. In one pop, how much did they just make? Over $1,000.
But think about this: when you go away to college, you don't know you don't know anybody. Okay, so who's your drug hookup? How do you find your drug hookup?
By other students.
Yeah, older students, right? Or when you join the fraternities or the sororities, right? Mm-hmm. And then, like, do they pass that then on? Like, hey, the SIG house, that's the coke house, so that's where everybody gets their...
Absolutely.
You know, so then who are they
Tommy's
passing
the
that
one
on
with the
to?
pills.
You know, or
Susie
does
has
somebody
the coke.
stay around because they become then, like, a townie? And then they're like, dude, I'm making so much money, like, I gotta... why would I leave? I'm making, you know...
Or you're coming in from Boise with, like, the big drugs.
I'm just,
my opinion
or like,
only. I'm just making this up, you guys. This isn't fact.
But just think about it, you know. I'm just curious where they're getting the drugs, and I see how predominant Greek life is there, and
Well, those body cam footage, right? So the cop said, "I just called out to you, to the three guys, and I shined my flashlight on you, and you guys didn't stop." What did the kid say? The 19-year-old.
What did he say?
Hey, stop! And I'm shining my flashlight on you. And you don't stop. Why? I didn't think it was a real person.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a real person. I thought you were from one of the fraternities fucking with us.
Mm-hmm.
End quote.
He goes,
oh, that actually makes sense.
Makes sense. So
right there, you're in plain clothes. You're trying to shine a light on me, and these dudes are like, we're not falling for that shit. Like, that's probably someone from the frat trying to mess with us. So all we keep seeing here is we just hear about fraternities messing with people.
Right.
Okay. The fraternities are totally wiped down their social medias. And you have all this Venmoing going on.
3:30.
You know, and it's like, okay, well, guess what? Somebody's going to have to, you know, break the whole listen, which the Idaho cops are awesome about. They don't care. Hey, listen, we don't care that you drink and you do drugs. You're just not going to walk around campus and do it. You just do it in your, your dorm room or wherever you live. You guys, we just don't want you guys to be walking around and just like falling over here in the field. And I'm thinking, wait, what is this guy talking about? Nobody was falling over. And it was like, you're just lying.
No, they didn't only say that someone was falling over. They said someone was falling over in their report and that they were leaning on each other to walk.
Yeah, and none of that was happening.
None of that was happening. They stood there for, what was it, 20 minutes?
Oh my God, yeah.
Straight.
Yeah.
Straight as an arrow. What do you think?
Oh, great. Nancy's a fabulous reporter. Is that the one that said that there was 2 cars instead of 3 pulling away from the house? Love her. Nancy Liu from News Nation just posted law enforcement giving update tomorrow on investigation. Okay. Didn't specify what about when she asked. Probably just some press release. Yeah. So here we're watching this body cam and I'm like, okay, first of all, nobody was falling down. Nobody needs help standing up. They're clearly talking perfectly fine. This little task force that they put together, basically, because I was reading about it. There was a presser, guys, on September 14th. And they talked about that they were putting together this undercover, but it was, we're clamping down on this underage drinking.
Oh, no.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, what's going on that, like, I mean, because these cops are all like, well, yeah, we know that you do it, just do it in your room. Don't do it and then go and walk in a field. And it's just like, okay, that's just, whoa, I can't believe that you're even saying this on a body cam that, you're being, but here you're putting people in plain clothes and I'm like, do you think that this is about something else? Maybe this is about being able to keep stuff hush-hush if you come upon something. That way nothing, hey, no reason to call something in. We're right here to limit the number of 911 calls. And the answer is I don't know, but I can just tell you that it blew my mind away to hear the cops say, we know it's college. We know you're going to drink. Just do it in your room.
Here's a $487 ticket.
Wow. Ashley Banfield. Please, Lana, replace her. Well, Ashley just is crazy.
You'd be a better Ashley Banfield, though.
Yeah, I think she's horrible at asking questions.
Well, let me tell you. I mean, I think you're pretty good at, and you know I know about interviewing. I think you're pretty good at
it. How you become a good interviewer is you have to research what you're about to ask somebody the questions on.
And you also have to listen.
Yeah. And they don't do either. And it's like, hey guys, breaking news here. We have 5 guys coming outside with cowboy hats on. I mean, I'll tell you what, when I was in Texas, that's what they wore. Those guys, they're from Texas. How stupid to even say that.
How ridiculous.
How stupid.
I mean, I'm not going to say the S word.
Like, why wasn't Ashley Banfield going to get in that body cam footage?
I don't know.
I mean, they have all this money. Like, this is mainstream media, all big bucks, and we got all these YouTubers literally fighting each other over pennies and lying about reports to make money, which is disgusting. They should be banned. All that stuff. But you got all this mega bucks, and it's like, well, that's weird. I didn't see any of the body cam until it was on, YouTube. Anyways.
Can I say something off the cuff about Jesse? Because he or she feels really bad about what they said, but I think it's the most hilarious thing.
Wait, what? Where was it? Is it up here?
It's so far up there.
Oh, okay.
But they said, why is Nina hanging out with Lana? Because they fell asleep listening to the padded room.
Oh God. That's even better. Sorry about the pattern. Was there a toxicology report on the drowned student? What I'm trying to get a hold of is body cam footage from that night. So I'm in the process. I put in a request to get body cam footage from that night. Let's see if we can get some body cam footage. Also, guys, I have a question about fraternity houses. So check this out. I was thinking about this last night. I said, all right, so I'm a cop. And let's say that those guys would have been like, oh my God, yeah, we just left the SIG, the SIG Ep house. And they are just passing out drinks. Like, we were literally doing keg stands. Everybody's naked in there. We were blowing coke off of people's, whatever. And, oh my God, it just starts saying all this stuff, right? Okay. What then... When you go to a fraternity house and you knock on the door and they answer it, now think about this. Who can give permission to go into that fraternity house? Okay.
The president?
Yeah, because it would be like, no, you guys aren't coming in. Like, no one's coming in. Go get a warrant.
Right.
Right? So think about this. What has to happen then? Think about if those kids would have said, yeah, we just left the sick house. What do you mean? Where do you think we're coming from? We're right here in the field.
Right. Okay.
So how does that all, go to the point of, because you guys don't ever hear, when's the last time you guys heard of a fraternity house getting raided? Please tell me.
Well, would we hear, would the PR spin cover
Well, just think about that. These guys are clearly unmarked vehicles in plain clothes. To do what about it? Why are you even doing it? Oh, because we want to get these underage drinkers. Really?
Well, really?
Because did anybody die on your campus for underage, for alcohol poisoning or?
Come on.
Oh, just think about it. What are you gonna do? So, when is the last time you heard of a fraternity house getting raided? And the answer is, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah. So why isn't that happening? Why? I'm just going to go to Idaho, and I'm going to start walking around, and I'm going to start stumbling. And then I want them to grab me and be like, flash their light on me. Oh my God, what are you doing? I was just at that SIG house right there, and, I don't even know how many drugs I just did. Been drinking. I'm over 21, though, but drugs are illegal, man. And I'm telling you, I could just buy whatever I want in there.
What'd you get, Lana?
Everything. I'm a pharmacist right now. What do you just take my blood right now? You could just see how fucked I am. And so like then what do they do? Oh my God, call it in. Bring out all units. We're going to the,
Sigma.
Yeah, we're going to the Sigma Chi house. We're raiding. Like what happens? Oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cite you. Please do this in your own home.
In the privacy of your own home.
Or better yet, don't leave the fraternity house. Spend the night with one of those random dudes.
Excuse me?
Yeah, like just think about this. Think about this. When's the last time you've heard of a fraternity getting raided? Never. When's the last time you heard of somebody being able to obtain a search warrant?
But is that just me or because I don't care about Greek life? Or is that like everybody?
Well, there's 4 murdered students.
Right.
Okay, and everything is pointing to the fact of, according to police, they came out to say, oh yeah, Ethan and Xana, they were at that fraternity house from 9 to 1:45. Stabbed to death. Oh, where were those girls coming from? Oh yeah, they were their sorority. You know what I mean? Like we need to start. Well, what sorority are they in? Like, and then you get the toxicology back. Well, what if they get the toxicology back? All of them are totally intoxicated, but what if there's drugs in their system? And they were just telling you they were at the
Sigma
house. Whatever one. What happens?
What would happen?
Well,
nothing.
And then what also happens if none of them are talking? So they go there to say, hey, come on, all of you guys come out, step outside. We're going to start interviewing you guys. Well, I'm not talking to you.
I want my daddy.
Yeah, I want my lawyer. Think about this. They have a code. They have a code, guys. And the code is, if there's cops around, you say nothing.
Silence.
We'll be there. You say you want a lawyer, we will be there.
Like a gang?
It's just, like, we will find out. You make us your first phone call. We will get you. Like, that's how this goes down. But I'm just curious, how can the police, is the university public property? Is it a state school? Is it private property? Can they just go in there balls, let's raid it. Let's just start knocking down doors, going in there. Only because you get a tip that says, yeah, that whole house, all of them have knives. That's like a big thing.
The Hamhill house?
Yeah. So you hear, then you go there and none of them are going to talk. They all lawyer up. Everybody in Greek life right now, lawyered up, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
But then they try to tell everybody that, hey, we've given law enforcement everything. We're letting them piece it all together. What does that mean? So when the police say, hey, Scott Coomer, get down here. These fraternities, what the hell is going on around here? I don't know what's going on, but if that house, remember they were trying to say the residents might have been the target? Where in the world does that come from? Where in the world would it come from that the residents would be the target? Maybe not the students, but the residents was.
What about the house as the target?
How could the house be the target? Why would the house be the target? What would be in that house that would be such a target?
Do you think maybe drugs?
Where do you think that these fraternities store their drugs? You think they just keep them in the frats because they can? Well, do you think they can keep them in the fraternities because you're not raiding it, and you're not raiding this. You're not able to get to our drugs,
right?
So, no. Why would we keep them at, an off-campus house that you could just literally go in, no problem?
True.
We're going to keep it on campus, and good luck trying to get in here.
Because Coomer loves us, and he's a frat boy. Allegedly, for entertainment purposes only.
And what's with these fraternities not having cameras? All we hear about is all of this alleged, sexual, essays and da-da-da and blah, blah, and blah, blah. you hear this happening all the time on college campuses. Okay? And when I was told that fraternity didn't have cameras, my kid wouldn't you feel safe if you're a girl to know they have cameras?
100%.
Yeah, you're not gonna have cameras in bathrooms,
Right.
okay? But do you think that there should be a Ring camera and there should be outdoor surveillance cameras?
I don't necessarily want one in my house, but I would definitely want them outside. Wouldn't you?
I'm just shocked that it's not mandatory with all of the stuff that's going on to limit the whole hazing and all this stuff.
Hazing is part of Greek life. You're going to take that away from them?
Yes. That's like saying
bullying is.
That's like no. This is what it's like saying. That's like saying marijuana is legal in this state, right? Let's just say the state of California. So, but check this out. If I have weed in my system and I'm an athlete in California, but it's legal for me to do this here. Oh, but we can't do it because it's not part of, the NCAA.
Right.
So you're not going to be able to do that in college. And if you get caught, and it's just like, well, I didn't break the law, but this is our policy.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't there be a campus policy about, cameras? You guys want to haze, go right ahead. But be prepared that if you go too far, it's going to be on camera.
Huh. Atlanta for campus president. Coomer, watch out. $420,000 a year. You down?
Excuse me?
Be a president.
Lana said something interesting the other day about why were there no cameras on these Greek houses? Why no campus security cams? What year is it? Yeah. Exactly, Octavia. Like, makes no sense, right? Because think about it. If you're a female, like the guys, they just, we're so big and bad, whatever. We don't need cameras, whatever. But girls, and how a dad would feel sending his daughter to college.
100%.
Yeah, you can be involved with the story. I don't want you why would I want my daughter going and hanging out with frat guys that are, what are they trying, like, oh yeah, I want you to come hang out at my house, my frat house. Why would I want my girl to go to a frat house where it would be like a 1v20 situation with no cameras and just a drug-infested situation?
Don't say no.
You got to be shitting me if you ever think that would happen. I mean, I'll be 3. Oh, how about this? Do any of these kids have the 360 Life app that were part of their family plan? So that their parent, hey, you better believe when my kid goes... You guys, it's not because I want to keep tabs on my kid. It's because if something was to happen... God forbid, like, the right person's going to be held accountable. This president was all about safety. Well, don't you think campus security should have more than 2 people? Don't you think maybe you should toss up some of your $420,000 that you're getting and give it away for a couple salaries for some of these people? Can we get some Ring cameras? Don't you think that should be if the university, hey, this is your fraternity's on our property, okay? Do they rent the house? Who owns the SIG house? Who's the owner of these fraternities? Who owns the house? Does the campus own that house? Who pays? Like, is it... Think about that. Because I'd be
Great
like,
question.
Who owns that? Who could even sign off to, After the 360 Life app comes up, the binders are next.
Who said that?
What's her name? Pisces.
Oh, hybrid Pisces. Hilarious.
They are sanctioned, given charities. Is that what you're... Yeah, we're just... I found an interview... Oh, great.
Oh no.
I'm far away, Michelle on wheels.
Yeah. Maybe don't eat with mic on.
I'm far enough away.
We're not eating with the mic on. But see, anybody that would come into chat just to say that, it's an automatic block.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Uh-oh, we're blocked.
We don't play games like that.
We're talking about Addies. But I think that's a really great question, Lana. I do. I think you asked an amazing question.
What would that be? I'm telling you, the best question I've asked since the onset of this case has been, how did the chief?
I know it.
But I want to know, how did you know who that was? Because half of the internet still thinks it's Jack D.
I love that you said that.
Like, what?
It's hilarious. Wait, can we? Do you guys in chat think it's? Do you guys in chat think that the hoodie guy is Jack D?
That's just funny to me.
Are we good on that, or? It was the best, but she does have great questions.
Where's the fifth car? Actually, where's the fifth and sixth? Because that Ford Explorer, you guys are going to hear in tomorrow's video 3. That Explorer is Ethan's sister's. So where's the fifth and sixth car?
I think it's getting to be.
No. What I mean by this is Ethan's car's there, Xana's car's there, Kaylee's car's there, and Maddie's car's there. Okay? Those 4. The 4 victims, their cars are all across the front row. Then you have Bethany and you have, Dylan. Where are their cars? Now, people are trying to say because Dylan was asking for rides and she didn't have one. You guys, that's not what that means. When you are always notorious for running late to college classes, what you will do is, instead of wanting to walk, you will ask one of your roommates to drop you off so that A, you don't have to walk, or because you're late, or you're lazy, so you're notorious for asking. But that does not necessarily mean that you don't have a car. You can't just go and park it next to the business building. You have to have a permit. Otherwise, you're going to get a boot on your car. They're going to first start ticketing you, and it's hell of expensive. So I want to know where the 2 roommates' vehicles are. They were not in the lot. Yes, AC, yeah. So we're not just looking for one vehicle right now. It's now 2. So if I was at a presser, I would raise my hand and say, Sarge, can I get that mic? Hey, this is Lana from Truth and Transparency online YouTube channel.
Take the mic.
My first question goes out to the chief. Chief, you seem that you saw that video of that Twitch. Are you a member of that Twitch Grubhub channel? Do you watch that regularly? How could you tell who that was to be able to contact them? Because you guys never asked the public for help. So did you know then who that was? Because it's really not a clear image. So how did you go about determining who that was? Did you guys use the FBI, enhancement tools or anything like that?
Did the lawyer call you?
I'm just wondering how you went about being able to clear Hoodie Guy when I wouldn't even think that you would know who Hoodie Guy is.
Never.
Half of the internet thinks that Hoodie Guy is Jack D still. Okay, so I'm just curious. In the middle of an investigation that just began, where you're at a crime scene, literally 24/7, how did it go about that you were able to gather evidence and then able to identify a guy that is clearly hiding from a camera that you really can't see? How does that happen? Well, Miss Oriani, that is part of our investigation. Really, you can't tell us how you were. I'm not asking for his name or hers. Maybe it's a girl, But I'm asking, how did you know who that is? Because you are like 50 and they're like 21. Do you guys like hang out? And so he'd have to like say, well, so like a bunch of people just called you to say, oh, this is Hoodie, this is who they think Hoodie guy is. And then so you just called him up. Did you have to call up a couple different people? And then so you just called up and you're like, hey, is this you in this video? And he was just like, yeah, that's me. And then what happened? Well, then I asked him for his DNA. You what? You get what I'm saying? Well, what did you do with the DNA? Because you didn't have anything to compare it with yet. Because none of that was happening yet. Well, he just told me that he was driving, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning. Between 3 and 4. He was driving. You mean to tell me that your guys with the plain clothes and the unmarked vehicle, they didn't pull him over for drinking and driving? They didn't catch that? He was at a bar all night. Oh, okay, I'm just curious. Okay, thanks. So basically what we're trying to get to is that we believe that it wasn't him, it was not the police department going out and, oh my God, that's Hoodie. Oh God, I know that was, my daughter used to date him. Look at him. I can't believe that little twerp. Let me give him a call. Like, no, that's not what happened. What we believe happened is when that started surfacing, okay, this person had to have come forward in the capacity of a lawyer or themselves. And I believe that it would be in the capacity of, you know, a lawyer would be speaking on that behalf. But I just think that if you truly, like, put it really in perspective of, like, go back to that presser and see how that was all handled. The best part is that they're over here asking the public for the white car. If anybody knows, anybody that drives a white Elantra, we don't have the license plate, but, you know, 2010 or 11 to 2013, you know, can you just get in touch with us? But they didn't ask us at all about the Hoodie guy. They didn't ask us about anybody in that video. Not even, you know, just anybody. So who did they ask to be able to clear this person? To be able to first get a name of really who it is, and then be able to clear them with no forensics. Like,
Thank you.
What? You guys, that doesn't make any sense. That's what you call, that is not logical. And when something isn't logical, there's a big problem. None of that makes any sense. Why were they so concerned? Why did that little man get on? He looks like a little elf. You know the movie Elf? You want me to show you him? He reminds me of the little guy in Elf. And he's so cute. And I think Fry was kind of struggling with the pressers. And he would, like, you know, maybe public speaking isn't his thing. But investigating is. And being organized is. And being kind-hearted. So he has the other little elfy guy talk, who, God, I can't remember his name, but he's so cute. He reminds me of the movie Elf. You know the movie Elf?
Yes.
The guy that does the narration?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I think of when I think of the guy that did now the pressers, where he comes and he's like, okay, I'm going to have so-and-so now speak. I could pull it up here.
Fry?
No, Fry's buddy.
Fry's buddy.
So he's like, okay, I want to make a couple things clear. We do not believe that the guy in the white hoodie, or we don't believe that the guy at the food truck, people are referring to as the white hoodie, is involved. We do not believe that the 2 surviving roommates were involved. We do not believe that the share ride party driver was involved. And we do not believe that anybody that was there and involved with the 911 call is involved. Now, this is what we do know. We know that Maddie and Kaylee were at a bar. And we're still going to say that they came home at 1:45, but they're on a camera at 1:45 141 to 152. But we are going to say that Xana and Ethan, they were at a fraternity party and they got home at 1:45, but we don't know why and how. And we were getting that from the two surviving roommates. They came home at 1. The dog was in a separate room. The dog did not have any blood on them. No signs of anything to be in the crime scenes. And we were asking the public to come forward with any information. We do believe that this is a targeted attack. We don't know if it's on the residents or if it's on one of the members of the house.
Or it's not a targeted attack.
Or it might not even be a targeted attack. But we do know that there was no signs of forced entry, meaning that no doors were kicked in, no... the door was open though when we arrived there, when they were there for the 911 call, the door was open. We know that it's targeted because of the totality of the evidence. That's why it's targeted, because of the totality of the evidence. So you listen to this and you're like, wait, what? Well, now I know why Kaylee's dad went out and hired a third party. Mm-hmm. Because none of this makes any sense. Oh, and we also do not believe that the male subject that Kaylee and Maddie were calling that night are involved. So that would be Jack D. Okay.
Jack D. Not the hoodie guy.
Jack D. And so they're prefacing that it's two different people because they say the hoodie guy is one person, But then the male subject that the girls were calling that night. Well, who were they texting that night? Who was Kaylee texting with that night? No talks about that. But that's what they say. That was the most important thing for them to talk about was we don't believe that these people are involved. And then it was a targeted, and then the next thing it was, this is a complex case. Wait, how is something that's usually targeted complex? Think about that. Usually something that's targeted is not complex. What would make a targeted attack complex? Think about that. And the only thing that makes sense to me when you're saying, okay, if you're talking about a wife and a husband, okay, or even like an ex-wife. Yeah, her and Johnny just had a huge blow up. Oh my God. Last Wednesday, he was over here. He's saying how he was going to kill her and go crazy and all this crap. And, there would be, that's a targeted, here, the wife's dead, and there's all these witnesses to this guy going crazy. But what would make something a targeted, complex case? Four people could do it. See, to me, I think that that's something easy to explain, that if somebody was targeted and then the other people that had actually suffered, stabbings and the death as well, being murdered, it's because they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. So that to me wouldn't make it the complex part, especially if the order would support that. Lana, we need a roster with pics of the players in this case. I have it. I can flip out my Excel spreadsheet if you guys really want to see it.
Tomorrow. No, tomorrow you're really busy. But we should do a members only live. My phone's dead, so I can't drop the link.
Yeah, I can do a members only live.
Where we go over the body cam.
Yeah, body cam.
I'm begging.
Oh, God, if I hear one more damn thing about this body cam.
Know.
I think that would be more interesting to get other body cam from other nights when there was the loud music. Listen to this. Yeah, you hear that? That's my camera that talks to me when she doesn't believe she's set up properly. Kelly O says complex would mean like a hit.
Would it?
I think that complex comes in with motive. What's the motive?
I think complex comes in when there's multiple avenues.
So then, therefore, there wouldn't be a target.
Then it wouldn't be.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I
Like,
absolutely do.
We believe that this was a targeted incident, but guys, we don't know if it's the residents or one of these people. But then Kaylee's dad comes in and says, "Well, her damage was way different," and so he kind of just like blows that up. But it's like, okay, so what I do is I sit back and I say, like, let's take the totality of everything that we know. And when I say we know, I'm only going off of what law enforcement has said and what the parents have said. And if you go back and you listen to Ethan's mom, she gives a big woo-woo. I don't want to say she slipped. She just was being honest. She says that Ethan and Xana were found in the same room. And they came out right away to say this has nothing to do with a triangle love affair or something like that. It was about this triangle relationship and drugs.
What triangle relationship and drugs?
But she said that they were found in the same room. But she never said like a bedroom.
Right.
She didn't say, living room, bathroom.
In the same bed.
She didn't use bed either.
Right.
But then you listen to what the coroner said.
Right.
And the coroner saying that they were all in beds.
Which I don't understand, because we've also been told that Ethan was in the...
Well, who said that, though?
I forget, because there's been so many players. We'll look into it.
I just don't think there's as much blood as people think. I think what it would be is, from an investigator standpoint, when... like, the wounds are going to be... like, it was a gruesome scene. I'm thinking that the people. And I don't know, it's not like they're going to walk into a house and there's going to be sprayed blood all on all the walls. It's going to be blood all over, like, the floor. Like,
Depends if they hit an artery. But yeah, I mean, I get it.
And then,
But knife attacks, I mean, they're very brutal and bloody. They're not clean.
Out of Time says, what I don't get is Xana having a pic of JS on her TikTok. Well, what it looks like is that he's at a party.
Yeah.
Right?
Not a pic.
Yeah. Well, it's...
a video.
And, no, I think that's interesting. I think, because he's like that... isn't he a neighbor? He would come and, like, just kick it. He's just like... I thought I talked about it. I thought I talked about that. If you hit the jugular, there will be pools of blood. Correct, but like in a bed, it would be like right there.
It would have soaked into the mattress.
Exactly, but I'm saying like I just think people think that like there's going to be.
Oh, I think it hit the ceiling.
Oh, it can hit the ceiling. In the room that it's at. So, like, these, like, in the hallways, it would look like there's nothing wrong in these hallways if it was all in these bedrooms. Your kitchen's fine, your living room's fine, your hallway's fine, except for what?
Except for if Ethan was fighting in the hallway and was pushed back, like you think, into the room.
I think the struggle happened in Ethan and Xana's room, wherever they were, and that's where a bunch of throwing around happened. Because it was Xana's dad that said... she fought her killer till the end.
Because she obviously woke up too.
Yeah, I think that she jumped on his back to try to get him off of Ethan, and then he ended up flinging her.
Well, that would be sad, because she's little.
Well, but that's what, like... But what I don't get, though, is... if that's happened, there has to be screaming. It's one thing if you're all the way up at the top, and they were sleeping... I think that wouldn't be as prominent, you know? So the screaming that I think that would happen on that second floor. How did the blood get on the outside of the house? Well, that's adhesive they were talking about. I'm not sold that that's blood.
We don't think that's blood at all.
I'm still on the fence if that's not... like, I would want to take a look at that.
It's supposed to be like oil.
It's like a caulking... like, it's like we were talking about this CD.
Yeah, CD stuff.
I would want, like, that's a picture and they're glorifying it. Right now, they've never said that picture is blood versus, like, was that tested? Is that,
No, but
so until that comes, the media is going to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
The media is a shit.
And they keep going with it. But yeah, it's pretty
idiots.
much been debunked as far as like people that work on homes, and there's something about like oil. Don't quote me on it. But yeah, it's not supposed to be blood. Looks like it, but not.
Yeah, also that's just not in a place.
I know, it's so awkward.
That's up against the wall. That's the side of the house that,
Under siding, it's bizarre. It's like where, like, no.
Well, but it's coming out of the it's like, coming and then dripping out. It just doesn't.
Makes sense.
It doesn't make sense of the. It just doesn't make sense to me. But at the end of the day, let's even say that it is blood, guys. I just think whatever you can either say right now, they're either screwed because there's no DNA, okay? Or if you have DNA, you have DNA. You put it through the system, but there's no hit because this person has never been in trouble to the point there's that DNA. You have a lot of moving parts. Just a lot of moving parts. But if this was targeted, you should be able to be eliminating some things. And to me, I'm still not sold on the whole they don't believe it's important to tell the community and the public where the two roommates were.
Which ones? The surviving roommates?
And how are they not uncovered where Ethan and Xana are? Again, they have, but we're just not going to tell you. We're just not going to tell you. We're just not going to tell you.
They're taking a chapter out of Delphi.
Well, they're also they're also means they're not telling the parents.
Absolutely.
Because we learned that because of the vocalness of Kaylee's dad.
Steve.
He was waiting just like all of us to hear at that last third presser. And when nothing was said and nothing was maybe taken back or things like that, but whatever he was expecting to hear, he did not hear at that third press conference. And it caused the trust to completely break, in my opinion. They've been since quiet, and I think that that's probably what, if they hired that third party, has told them, just be quiet about it. I think that you also have to throw in the mix. You have to. These people were intoxicated, and we don't know if Ethan and Xana were. Then you're tired. Did you take medicine to I don't want to have a headache, so I take Tylenol PMs. I would be out of it. But I think that they should have never lost the family's trust. You have to trust the family there to give them enough to here we want to give you this information.
Absolutely.
To keep this trust and relationship. And then if they give that information away, then that's when I think that you would pull back. It's sad.
They're victims. The families are just victims, and they're treated as outsiders. It's not a good look.
I think that having the university's president there for every presser shows you exactly what's going on.
And it's gross. Sorry, Coomer. You need to not do that. It's bad PR.
You know what I'm kind of shocked about? You guys, let's talk about it. I'm going to say it, and you all are going to be like, I can't believe she went there. There has been nonstop press around this, like nonstop. Where is anybody that dated this Jack guy?
Huh.
Where
Jack S?
Jack S. Okay. Where's anybody that was friends? Come on, like no one's talking. Has anybody like approached any of these people?
If they're in Greek life, it's all a secret. Like, you don't tell.
So everyone's in Greek life.
I don't know, but I mean, how does that
What
work?
about where they worked at the restaurant? Like, if you knew something, would you be like, hey, remember that time we went out last week and we were like, it was like, or like if you know that one of the people cheated on somebody, like what would you, it's like targeted, complex, but it might be the how. I mean, what are they talking about?
What are they?
4 college kids, 2 of them can't even freaking go buy beer. What are they mixed up in that's so complex? How is this so complex? But not so complex that you're going to tell your whole damn town that this, you don't need to worry. But then you have Kaylee's sister that's like, y'all need to leave that town.
You need to leave and worry.
Yeah. But then they don't say, you guys, they don't say anything at these pressers. What did the authorities tell us at these pressers? Think about it. The only thing that they told us of who we do not believe is involved. They're not saying stuff like, this was the order of the deaths. Why are they even saying this is who we do not think is involved?
Great question.
Why would that even be a concern to tell us? That doesn't even make any freaking sense. But that was all they cared about. Why did they care about that?
What do you think?
You know what?
But you see?
No, I mean,
that is the answer, though. And everyone can...
Well, that's what the answer is that you... I feel like that the only reason they had these press conferences was to say that we have 46... Why do you guys need 46 FBI agents on this?
And also to say we have a really safe school and everyone's safe.
46 FBI agents on a targeted attack. But we don't know if it's the resident or like, we're not going to tell you what person, but we believe that it's one of the people that were targeted, but it's complex. Well, what makes it complex? Is it because did somebody let this person into the house? Because there's no signs of forced entry. I mean, then everybody wants to say, oh, well, they're just basically, the police can just say whatever. It's a tactic to let these people, let their guard down. Well, guess what, guys? If that's the case, then that means they're doing it not with just Jack S., but it would be with everybody. And why did everybody get rid of their social medias? Why did everybody delete them and then private them? Why wouldn't you just private them? Why did you delete 2 weeks out and then private? How is that not tampering with evidence? How is that not obstruction of justice? Why would you need to delete your social media the past 2 weeks? Think about that. What would I have done that I would need to delete that? Oh, because I was drinking and I'm not 21. Who gives a shit? We're talking, nobody cared. Is that really what you're deleting your stuff over? You think that because you drank and you're not 21, that has anything to do with them being stabbed to death for people? Because if you truly think that doesn't make any sense. And wouldn't law enforcement tell them, don't delete your social medias? We need to have access to this. Can we get access into your social medias?
Not if law enforcement's the one that's clearing them.
And then they're just deleting stuff?
You're cleared. You can delete. You can go home now. You're cleared.
Lulu says, I would have deleted mine. I would have privated mine.
Same.
I would have not deleted anything. But you would think that law enforcement would be telling these people that. You did 90 interviews. I'd be telling all 90 of those people, well, are you cool with giving me DNA so we can just rule you out? Okay, and then your social medias, can we take a look at your social medias? I mean, and I'm like, no, you know what? I want a lawyer. Like, why would all these people be lawyering up? Why would 18 to 21-year-olds be lawyering up? Because their parents would tell them to, right?
Absolutely.
Their parents would tell them to. The Greek life would tell them to. But how would they know that so quickly? To be like, chapter meeting, get in here now. Nobody is talking to the authorities. And I want someone to come forward and say that. Call them out. Hey, we were told not to talk to anybody, and if we did, we'd be next. Just kidding. It's just like... I get the trolls, but you would just do private. You would private your account. If you just private your account, then people can't, like, do that. But when you, delete... You guys, Facebook you can get all that back. Like, I'm just thinking about Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat,
Instagram.
Wouldn't you be interviewing these people saying, hey, can you go through your Snapchat? How many pictures did you take? Remember how they were saying that in the beginning? We want to know who's in your pictures. Please come forward. And even Kaylee's dad was saying things like, they don't care about the drinking, okay? No one's going to get in trouble for that. No one's going to get in trouble for that. Okay, we just want to see who's in these pictures. We want to see if we can identify a person that normally isn't around. Like, who is this person? Oh, I don't know. And nobody knows who this person is. It's because they believe that person was there that day. Also, if you got a bunch of people that were drinking, oh God, I don't remember who the hell was over or where I was. But once you are sober and I start showing you pictures and you're like, okay, yeah, this is so-and-so and this is so-and-so. I don't know that person. I don't know this. Know this person, know this person. So you're taking all these photos that you can just, okay, so this was all from your house. This is all from the frat house. Where were these pictures taken? Who do we know? Who do we don't know? Did anybody have any friends in town that,
Comments.
But why would a complete stranger do this? A personal attack like this? Wouldn't a hit person just go, you take a gun and you just...
Oh, yeah. A knife is intimate. Very intimate.
I even say screw intimate. You're risking DNA. You are risking, stabbing somebody like that, going into someone's home. You're risking your DNA. And is it a person that said, I don't give a shit? I don't care if I get caught?
They're crazy.
Because, it is what it is, And I think what's sad is, I don't know what these people's common sense are that, when you get the FBI, you have all of this, all these resources. Why would you need all these resources for a targeted 4-person? They don't have that many, like their circle of social friends is not that deep. These people are sloppy in terms of, they put everything out on social media. Okay, you're going to know where they were at all times because that's all they do. So what's the holdup here? What's the catch? What's going on? What's really going on? And do you think it's that there's a huge big stump? Or is there, well, shit, we can't prosecute this person because guess what? There's all this DNA. All of this DNA is in this house because we have these cups and they have this DNA and then this, and then what if there was a fight earlier that night? And so Ethan or Xana have DNA from, because they got into a fight at the fraternity house.
Or like you said,
because you're putting something together to ultimately prosecute. So we have to be able to put a case together to be able to prosecute. well, how do you plan on prosecuting this case? It's somebody not having a really good defense if there isn't, like, I think that that's where the complex part comes in, guys. I think when they say the words, this is complex, it's going to be complex to prosecute.
To prove it.
To prosecute. That's the only thing that makes sense in my eyes. You heard it here first. The complexity of it is we're going to have a bitch of a time to prosecute this person because this person has so many outs. The killer lives in a shack in the woods, says CD. Greeks will be Greeks, frat and sorority. Elvis, it reminds me of Michael Myers' film.
No, and that's what's scary is the trope, the horror trope of this, right? Because there were, like, Bundy did get into sorority houses. Kemper did. Kemper was into that. And there was another guy who did it. But it's freaky.
Okay, so think about this. Remember, what's her name? Goes over to Italy.
How?
No,
Oh, yes. The cartwheel chick.
No, what? Yeah, what's her name? Come on, why is my God, what's her name? It's not. It's God, Foxy Noxie.
That's why I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Amanda Knox. Okay. So Amanda Knox. There are some similarities in this case to me with the Knox case.
So true.
Because of the DNA and the
poop in
the feces in the toilet, and just everything with that case. Think about that home. Think about what we know now that we didn't know then, but we know now. That scene, the awkwardness of it, but just the whole thing about there's unknown DNA. She basically it's guilty, then not guilty, then they want to extradite her now again, but it all had to do with she slept in that home. But then it was like a love triangle gone wrong, but it really wasn't. But then it was everything about all of it. Students. Really, what would be the motive to kill her? You know what I mean? Like Meredith. I mean, it's just the lack of motive. Like why would it? So all of that.
Interesting that I didn't even think of that. That's a really good thought right there.
Yeah. Well, because it has just to do with like the whole forensic part of it.
Absolutely.
And now, think about this though. Here we have this case, and nobody wants to talk about that a woman could do this, right?
True.
Well, Amanda Knox was a woman. You know what I mean? Killing, because if you think about it, there's only like one guy that's actually like everybody else is a female victim.
Okay.
So it's just, I think there's just the complexity is going to be in the prosecution. Because I think there's so much DNA in that house. Whether it's cups that people were drinking from Flip Cup or people using the you just name it.
Do you think somebody that morning that came over threw up from what they saw? One of the friends that was there.
Absolutely. I think that 100% could have happened. I think that law enforcement has done that before. If we're going off of this, it's the most gruesomest scene that they've ever seen. I mean, think about a kid seeing this.
Absolutely.
Now also, but this is why they're never going to release that 911 call. It's because I believe that they were on the phone and that they were like, oh my God, there's this. And it's like, they're on the phone literally describing this. Everything that they're seeing. And, well, how many roommates are supposed to be there? Where's the other roommates? And then did they go upstairs? But they're literally, I think, passing this phone around, describing everything that they're seeing, and it would be like
graphic.
Well, it isn't so much about to be graphic. Yeah, that's going to be there, but I think that it's to preserve the case because then everybody's going to know, it's they're trying to keep that hush hush of, but I would just believe that they were talking about it, describing everything. The 911 call, the answers we all want to find out would really be found. Was it planned and staged? I don't think,
I guess I think it's staged differently, so I don't think it was staged, but I don't know if that's exactly what the person meant. My phone died. So.
I think that whoever did this, they think about it. What do you think that they thought that they were pressed for time?
Okay, that's interesting because you asked this, and I think that if you actually think about it, it doesn't seem like they were pressed for time, which is bizarre.
Well, think about the internal, like if somebody was screaming, you hear that they're screaming, right?
Yeah.
Well, why aren't you under the impression that the people downstairs, like, it was just something, I didn't need to go down there, right? Because they didn't come up from being downstairs, so I didn't see them, they didn't see me, right? But then you have people that will say, well, what if they were able to look out the window and see then who you were?
Well, if you know the layout of the house, let's say you leave out the back, can the people...
But did they leave out the back? I believe that they left out the back. If and in fact, it would just be one question to ask, were those stools, put in like that?
But you're saying, were the stools put in like that by the people that lived in the house?
Yeah. Did they lock up their door like that?
I don't believe.
Or did law enforcement do that?
I believe law enforcement did that. But the other thing that tells me they left out the back, and I don't want to seem like it's just.
See, I think that they put Murphy in that room. They put Murphy in that room. They were sleeping on the same bed. Murphy's probably a dog that sleeps in the bed, but there wasn't enough room. I believe that they put Murphy in, meaning they as in the girls.
Maddie and Kaylee.
Yes, put Murphy in. Basically, that I would even be questioned if when they got home. Think about this: you have a dog. When you get home, did your dog come like running for you and need to go outside and go potty?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you let your dog out that night when you got back from, the Grubs, the truck?
But there's no fence, so I would think she would take the dog on a leash. But yeah. Like to go potty.
Well, maybe is there electric fence there? I don't know. You would think, did you go outside, you let the dog out, even if you have to take the dog out so it goes potty. That morning, if the dog isn't found until X amount of time, meaning like at 12 or 12:15 or whatever, did the dog have an accident inside in that room? All of these things would tell me like a lot about where the dog was found. I don't think for a second that the killer put the dog in a room. That's not what I think at all. I think that the dog was in a separate room because that's where the dog was sleeping, because Kaylee and Maddie were going to sleep in the same bed. And that Murphy's just going to want to try to keep on coming up here. Like, let me just put her in this room. And they just put the dog in that other room. So.
Yeah. Big possibility.
God, I have to mod too. So. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I don't believe that law enforcement was lying to us when they came out and said that, okay, yep, the dog was found. There was no signs the dog was in any of where the crime scene was, and blah, blah, blah. Now, could they be lying to us? Sure, absolutely. But the way that I can kind of see that playing out, there would be other indicators. Also, let's think about it. These two roommates, the surviving roommates, when would the dog start barking to like want to be let out of that room to go potty, to eat? Would the dog start barking? That's what the barking that I want to know about would be like. To let me out, I have to go potty. So, again, thanks, Lana. I was debating doing that. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I was looking away. Sorry about that. But yeah, it was a great night talking with you guys. I'm going to go enjoy the steak that I didn't get to buy. Gonna go get some. I got a ton of stuff I get to dig through. And I'm really looking into, just so you guys know, the how they all became friends. How did they all, get to know each other and become friends that they picked each other to live in that house together with. So too bad nobody had a firearm. You can't have a firearm on campus. I don't know if that's considered a campus house. I don't know how they roll with that, but I was reading the university's policy, and you basically give up your right to bear arms at the University of Idaho. I read their whole damn manifesto last night. I couldn't sleep, and I'm like, because I get an idea in my head, and I'm like, oh my God, why hasn't anybody asked this question? But yeah, you heard it here first. The complexity, I believe, comes from, it's a very complex case. It's going to come in. We believe you guys are all safe right now. We want to make sure that there wasn't other people involved and it was only one person, but it's how are we going to be able to prosecute? I think that there's going to be that's where the complexity comes in. Talking about if they didn't know it was the house that was targeted. Well, what would the house be targeted for? We need to get in there to get something. That doesn't make any sense. The house was targeted. Why was the house targeted? It doesn't make any sense. And then how does a police officer I've never even heard that before. Well, this house was targeted. I heard it the opposite way, we think that there's couple $1 million in that house. So we're going to go get that money. John says that town is safe now. People are probably loading up on firearms. Yeah, AC out. You know what? I'll give you that. Anybody else scared sleeping at night now? I think what's scary about it is you should be safe in your home. So I think the worst thing in the world is, something like this because it's your home but the only way that you'd be able to do this, though, is if somebody's sleeping. If you wait till everyone's asleep, as much as people say that's 2 verse 1, it's really not. Think about it. Lay in your bed, fall asleep. Someone just stabs you in your heart area. I mean, what are you gonna do? Someone stabs you in your chest. Now I would think that it would be a little more difficult if you're sleeping and you're cuddling. If you're cuddling while you're sleeping, if you're laying on your side, that's why I can't wait to talk to Scott Roeder about it, because I'll show you some of his work, and that's coming up, but I'm going to call it a night. You guys are the best, though. It's a great little chat. All right, guys, go take care. Until next time. Oh, yeah. They had multiple stab wounds. Go ahead and read up on that Foxy Noxy. Good night, guys. Aunt Jemima says you're the best. I really want some waffles now, so maybe I just get, was it chicken waffles? We'll do steak and waffles. Michael, thank you. You guys are great. I do not think chloroform. Nope, I don't. Oh yeah, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Yeah, hi Anna Blacksock, hi. Hit that thumbs up. Give it a like. Give it a like. Give it a like. Give it a like. Give it away. Give it away. Give it away now. Oh yeah, tomorrow I get to show you guys all these sample knives. Yeah, you guys heard it. Yep, do all those good things. We got tons of knives for tomorrow too.
Become a member, because we're probably going to do a members live.
Yes, become a member, because we are doing a members live, because there's some stuff that just members get perks to. Get perks to my brain. We're gonna go buy some pigs tomorrow.
We are not buying
Yep,
pigs.
I've already decided. See you guys later. Again, thanks mods. Good night.